right, so we can get started now, I guess. And first of all, I would like to kind of talk about, just want to check if day 2 notes were added. I'm sure, well, yes, let's kind of quickly check them out because day 2 we completed. There's nothing in there, I guess. So what? Same files were there. If it's not, I have to just allow me one quick second. Let me just check that for you. I'm not sure. One quick second. Nope, it doesn't seem like. So I'll have that check because I'll have so system again. That's where probably the entire thing got changed. Yesterday we did not have a class. Yes, today is day 2. No, today is day 3. Actually, we have covered today is day 3. So we couldn't have the session yesterday. I lost the system somehow. I like it just before the session, about a couple of hours ago. I was having a client call and my system collapsed completely. Some Windows stuff happened, and so I'll be sharing I'll go and kind of update the Google Drive there. So yes, there was some material, like whatever material we talked about was already shared on day 1, but I'll go back and check what all additional material, because day 2 we were primarily working on discussion, like basically all the material files that we worked on. So there's the same file. There's nothing else. I was supposed to check that the Word file and make those corrections and share it with in the day 2. That's the one, which is the Word file, the flow chart, which was there. We have created a quick snapshot of what how it works in case of predictive. There was some corrections here and there. Was supposed to do that, and the fiasco happened with my laptop. So again, thanks a lot for yesterday for cooperating, and we'll be starting now, given the time. And yes, I will have that done tomorrow morning. You should have the update, the file. So file is there, but again, there was some minor correction here and there. It was day 2. Otherwise, we did not say the modified version has to be shared. Yes, I will be sharing that, which is by tomorrow. I'll be getting it back tomorrow morning. So let's get started now. There's nothing much to be now added in the Google Drive there. So it's because we already have all the material, everything there. It's now about kind of going through the presentations now. So I will have that one element added, and I'll update the day 3 folder today, by tomorrow morning, and I'll have it uploaded, the corrected one with some minor correction. It has to be proofread. Like there were 2-3 things which were highlighted, and they were correct, observations by you all. So thanks for that again. Let's get started now. So last week not last week, my bad. Day before yesterday, we discussed till slide number 9. We'll be continuing with the second topic, which is strategic alignment. So here, this is more about going to tell you about the 3 domains where a project manager must become an expert. Okay, I hope Mr. Faiz, I'm sharing I hope everyone is able to hear me loud and clear. Mr. Faiz, not sure why he's saying so. And it just sort of scares me. Well, because it's been going on like the Brahma, you have to go to the Excel file. There is a downloadable material. Excel file, the downloadable material. In the Excel file, you have downloadable material. Okay. So now the 3 elements we discussed on day 1, we had 3 domains where a project manager must become an expert at. That's what it's talking about. They refer it as PMI talent triangle. They expect a project manager to become an expert of these 3 domains, which is what we'll be covering in the entire presentation. We talked about where the ways of working is technically the technical part of the project management, which is about 50% of your examination question will come from here. Power skill is more about the leadership skills, which is about 42% comes from here. Business acumen was 8%. We already discussed this. And first chapter is the lesson that we have here is more about the overview, because that all things will be detailed in this lesson 2. This is a very short one. We'll just quickly go through it. Now, these terminologies we have already discussed in there. When we discussed about the predictive life cycle. We talked about this discussion. While we had that first couple of days discussion, we discussed about this terminology, but now it's coming in. So if you remember, we talked about EEF. I do remember documenting EEF, enterprise environmental factor. Let's quickly have a look at what these are. So things, what do you call as EEF, enterprise environmental factor? Those factors which are beyond the control of the project manager and technically the project team, but they also have an impact on the project. So even though they have an impact on the project, we don't have a direct control over them. And some of the factors could be internal, some factors could be external. So we have both internal EEF and external EEF, which is enterprise environmental factors. Enterprise environmental factors will be, when you say internal, what is an internal enterprise environmental factor? The skills, the people who have already been hired within the company. Well, whether you like it or not, that's what you got. The team members that you will have allocated, well, this guy will be working as a team member. Well, you can't do much about it. That's what you have. Well, the culture, well, you don't have a choice there. Bottom line, the company culture, the companies, like the work, like working hours, for that matter, company policies, everything that we're talking about. So that these are internal factors which we will get impacted by, but you don't have a control. These are all internal to the company, whatever management decisions they take, the way, the location of the company, and all those things are which is specific to company. External factors are all external factors. Like we talk about like global, like whatever, if something goes wrong, like an act of war globally, like could be government regulations which could come in, like this, like COVID kind of scenarios, all those things which are beyond our control. And they're natural calamity, absolutely. Those things which will be beyond, it's outside the company, but they have an impact. This could be, typically we talk about, see, dollar fluctuation. Yes, and that's an external factor. We talk about the government regulations. That will be external factor. We talk about any kind of this natural calamity. We talk anything which is outside the domain of the company will be external factors. The culture within the like whichever country, that is also going to be an external factor. The social conditions, those will also be an impact. So for external factor, we have the prompt list we deal with. So prompt list, we have TCOP, VUCA, and PESTEL. So these are prompt lists we discuss with. And in case of, we have SWOT analysis, the SW, strength and weakness, are internal factors, but we say OT, these are external. Opportunities and threats, these are external. So we have different ways of having a discussion to find out what are the potential factors which may have an impact. And these are all meant for external factors. So we'll see a list of all these in probably a couple of slides. What the internal factors, external factors. OPA, well, that term we have to get accustomed to, because this is going to be used time and again. Very critical factor. Why? Because historical projects done. People have done it successfully in the past. Well, why would we not use it? Well, somebody has done it. We have a roadmap ready. Well, we use it. So who owns this OPAs? The project management office. So project management office has all the previously done projects. They have a repository, and you are also making one in your project. So you go back and tell them, well, I want to start a project and so my project. So they will give you similar project OPAs written by previous project managers. That will be a learning for you also, so you can guide your project better. And when you complete a project, your lesson learned will also be submitted to PMO. So they have a master database of all such OPAs. OPAs are all, technically we talk about the previous one, but apart from that, PMO controls other things also, which are OPA. Processes, policies, procedures, templates, documents, they are controlled by them. That's a governing body we have in the organization, which governs the project architecture. And there are different kind of PMOs. We talk about there are controlling PMOs. We have got supporting PMOs. We have got directive PMOs. So PMOs in different nature will control these elements, which is technically the procedures, policy, guidelines, documents, templates, and the lessons learned we have, which is with knowledge base is the lessons learned document. So they are the owner. These guys keep a complete control over it. And obviously there has to be somebody at least to make sure things are standardized. Otherwise it will become a chaos. We'll see a sample list of all these things will come in. I guess quick one. Have a look at it. So before we want to start a project, again, this is still, remember, the business part of it. A project has not started. Our project related discussion, this is going to be all about overview, what you should know about business acumen. Nothing in the project part. Project part will start from lesson 2. So all in all, well, people have been deciding the projects. The business leaders are deciding it. The sponsor is deciding it. Do you have a business analyst who are discussing is going on? They are having all these discussions. So they are doing this discussion. Your role has not got into picture. Once a project has been decided, that's when you step in. So you are not anywhere in this one. You should know about this. Having said that, we talked about PESTEL, external factors, TCOP, external factors, VUCA, external factors. These are all called prompt list, PROMT, PROMPT. So my bad. Prompt list. Prompt list is used to have a meaningful, structured brainstorming rather than having any random brainstorming. Well, okay, we are going to use PESTEL method to brainstorm for risk factors. Okay, let's discuss about political risk factors. We'll have a discussion. So all political will be discussed. We'll have economic discussion. Then let's talk about economic risk factors, socio-cultural. So it's a way to structure your discussion to explore the risk factor. Otherwise, people will keep randomly giving information. So, well, what is right and wrong? Doesn't matter. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to know it. All you got to keep in mind, these are for external factors, and we have to keep in mind, these are prompt lists for exploring the potential risk factors in the project. Well, we don't have to do all of them. Like you want to do all of them, you can do one of them. Nobody does all of them, honestly. Most common is PESTEL, most common. And we use it in Six Sigma also, PESTEL. But again, you can choose anything. Or people can forget about it. We will use SWOT. Why? SWOT has 2 elements. These are internal factors. These are external factors. Strength of the company, internal factor. Weakness of the company, internal factors. Opportunities are external, positive risk. T is threat, negative risk. So risk can be positive, risk can be negative. So when you talk about opportunities and threats, these are external factors. And when you talk about strength and weakness, these are internal factors. So when we do a SWOT analysis, we're doing both internal and external factors. So this is pretty much the SWOT part, which has been in addition. Well, good. I was just reading it now. In addition to this, we can use additional stuff to explore. These are not guidelines. These are not rules. They're options. Option 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you may want to use some of them, all of them, one of them. Do whatever you want. You're the boss. Bottom line, again, do we have to memorize? The answer is no. For nothing in this entire module, you have to memorize. You have to know it. You have to understand it. Because if I get to hear this word in a question, I know what is it for. Knowing of this, what is it for, is important. Because nobody's expected to sit down and memorize all the content. It will be of no use. Now, risk factors, we do competitive analysis. We can always look at your versus external factors like your competition. That can also give you some bit of idea what is like where we are struggling and what are the better. Like we can always try to do a comparison. Feasibility study, that's what we want to talk about. Feasibility study, we try to understand what we're trying to deliver. Is it feasible or not? Economically feasible? Like, can you do actually from a manufacturing standpoint, if you're trying to manufacture something, is it feasible? You can try to design something. Well, is it actually feasible to do that job or not? So you want to also look at the possibility of doing and delivering it also. So they can talk about potential things which may be a hindrance in delivering the result. SWOT is a tool. Mr. Ganesh, SWOT is a tool for having a discussion to discuss okay, let me quickly talk about a SWOT analysis. So we SWOT weakness, opportunities, and threat. This is a tool to discuss and explore about potential like a internal and external factors. We talk about strength. We will explore, we'll have a discussion and discuss about what are the strengths of the company. Let me kind of quickly talk through an example where we can cover all the SWOT, like all the elements of SWOT. I am a company who's dealing in, say, software development, website, and all that. A pretty good company, old company. People know it's a brand known in the market. So my strength is that I've got extremely huge list of loyal customer base. Absolutely, people know my brand. Amazing. Well, and pretty much I don't have to tell people and convince myself, okay, I'm so and so. My name is sufficient in the market. That's my strength. But extremely loyal customer base, which is good. Weaknesses. What are weaknesses? Of lately, we have been getting complaints. This is where some of our software have issues or bugs. Customer complaining about that early resolution time. So probably things have changed, and obviously they have reported and they've been complaining about the complaints have increased a lot recently. and we have not been able to resolve them. So there are outstanding issues. This is so strength is that you've got amazing infrastructure, amazing stuff like team and all that, good repo in the market. But again, recent developments, you see there are challenges. Well, there is a opportunity to make a big money here. Well, why? Because IT, this stuff which has come into picture, what you call this, chat GPT, AI. And we have got amazing, like probably in the past, we may have already dealt with 3,000 plus customers, for example. So we got a lot of people and we have delivered website for them, like application for them, and God knows what not. They've been using it fine. And we are probably doing annual maintenance for them. We're managing the service. Now we have an opportunity, and some people I have, they know AI. Some people I have, or probably if I need, I can procure from somebody from outside who knows artificial intelligence, and probably integrate a chat GPT. I can directly reach out to all my customers. I don't have to convince them. They know me, I know them. I can just reach out to them. Hi, how are you? How are your website working? Okay, I hope there are no challenges. Well, actually we were about to launch practically we already to launch this chat GPT integration on your website and mobile application. And since you've been our loyal customers, see, this is what so probably you're charging for outsiders. We're charging say $1,000. But yes, you are loyal customer. Again, practically we want to give it at a very discount. You will, like all our customers, they have an option of getting it for $500 only. But again, that's a limited opportunity. That's a big opportunity. I don't have, this is market ready for me. Go and grab it. Bottom line, you don't grab it, somebody else will take it. And that's a threat. Why? Every second person you go out online, every second person has become a master of chat GPT. You look at this, people are rolling out those, you check out, I'm sure people would have seen this. Every second person has become a chat GPT instructor and programmer and God knows what not. They're trying to do everything for you. So there's so much of competition has come into the market, and that's a threat because I'm charging this and people are ready to do this for $50 also. That's a threat for me. So, well, that's more about you explore around a particular problem. I hope it's clear in SWOT analysis. What is it? Discussion, good discussion, which will result in like a 360-degree stuff, which we work on. We work on a lot of assumptions related to cost, assumptions related to time, assumptions related to the constraints we are dealing with, risk factors are assumptions. So we can look into those things. What may go wrong? You assume something, but there's no guarantee that you assume it is going to be right. You may decide, okay, project cost is going to be 100,000. Well, what if it's not? You decide it's a 6 months project. What if it's not? It gets extended. So assumption analysis has to be thought, keeping in mind, what if it does not work, if it gets extended, all that part. Look at historical OPA. Again, please do not forget this one. This is the first answer that you want to give it is always an OPA. Whenever you get an option to select the most important document, a project manager can look into it. It's OPA, always a good way. When somebody has done it, always go and check that out. Risk management, risk alignment, bottom line. Again, we talked about all our risk related. So just having another line, same thing. It's about understand the risk in the system. Try to go and see, well, how this company does the risk management. What are the different techniques and methods they adopt for this? Well, do they do qualitative analysis only? All these guys have that strength on the technicality about doing a quantitative analysis, which is hardcore statistics. Well, let's see how they do it. We'll see a lot of different tools. We'll talk about them. But all in all, this is just a high level. Are you doing it? Practically not. This still you are not in the picture. Mr. Project Manager will come in the lesson 2, not in lesson 1. So let's have a quick look at this. We all talked about it. This is just a quick glance of all the list we talked about. Just see. Let's talk about EF, internal one. Resource capabilities, organization cultures, IT software, distribution facilities, all internal to the company. Outside, market conditions, law, regulations, operating conditions, social, cultural influences. Outside. Well, OPA, organizational charts, procurement rules, hiring, onboarding. These are the policies, procedures, documentation. And yes, what are extra? The knowledge bases, lessons learned. That's the most important part. Lessons learned repositories. And apart from that, the libraries, archives, templates, documentation. Wikis are Wikipedias. Please keep them. They use this word wikis in short for Wikipedia. Well, why? Because Wikipedia pages are developed by people. We use this as a way to collaborate, team facilitation option. You can use this also. Please keep this in mind whenever they talk about developing team bonding, team culture. And there are people working at different locations. Like I'm sitting in India, somebody's sitting in UAE, somebody's sitting in Germany. We've got different like this people like in different locations. Well, there is a way to develop the bonding between them is to have something like a shared wiki page, like, depending on the kind of job we do. So they can be, this is one of the tool which people use is Wikipedia pages, where these all people can become collaborators. So people can collaborate and together work as a team to develop some kind of research paper or something like that. So that can be done. Shared wikis are generally like a, we develop. So Wikipedia page you can have, see, because some people will have admin rights, some people will have only view rights. We only have view rights. You can't go and change a Wikipedia page unless you are the creator. You have a view right, but there could be like 4 or 5 people who created the page, that particular page. They will have admin rights, so they are the collaborators. So the way different people kind of work, you can work with shared wiki. So this would be also one of those methods. They will say whenever you have like differently people at different locations, they're not co-located. It's always like there are different ways how we'll collaborate with them. So please keep this in mind. Shared wikis, they will say shared wikis are also a way to collaborate, so that you can collaborate and get together and collectively create something. So they call it like going forward. Globally, things have changed. Virtual team member is what the way of life going forward. Like we know, virtual team member kind of concept comes into picture now because earlier it was Maha. Yeah, please go ahead. Can you just type in your message, or you want me to unmute you? Can you just drop in your message? Okay, just give me 1 quick second. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, sir. Sir, this shared Wikipedia is what you're saying is like for this OPA and all. Other than the organization, outside also we have this external shared Wikipedia, and we can use that as a helping tool for us. Is that so?
Yes. It's more like they only use it. So and from with reference to our examination part, because you'll see a lot of slides will come in future, like we go through subsequent lesson, that they will talk about virtual team member who will be now PMI has become like this virtual team member concept will become a very, very favorite topic. You'll see a lot of slides about virtual team member, thinking about virtual team member. See, when we're working together at one location, one site, we have got good bonding developed. We'll go for a cup of coffee, have a chit chat, have lunch together. We have good team bonding. But if we have a member which is remotely located in a different location, this guy will be the most easiest one to get disconnected. So, well, how do you manage a virtual team member? You will see a lot of slides, and that's where this could be shared wikis is one of the ways you can collaborate and kind of make them stay connected with the team. So we collaborate and work together. So because if you leave this person, it's all about engaging the team. So that's one way to engage the team. Shared wikis.
I got you, sir. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. Right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Well, please, and I'm sure you will be able to see this right clearly that at this slide, since till now we are not in the picture. So this job is done by the business analyst. So, and it'll tell you clearly, the PMI slides will tell you clearly, you don't have to perform any of these calculations. So please keep this in mind. Business value, all that is done by the business analyst, leadership team, the executive team. They're going to decide why the project needs to be taken. There could be different reasons. So, well, the investors are always in picture. So somebody just can't sit down and like say, oh, let's start a project. No. Well, you have to have the justification done, feasibility study done. Well, how it is going to impact. So they will have to think from what business value add you're going to create. And there can be a lot of reasons. I may want to like A, definitely for money. B, I would love to kind of increase my market share. My business value could be early to the market. It could be probably like a upgrade, some sort of upgrade. Well, we already have some service, we want to upgrade it. So what are we trying to create by doing a project? That concept has to be clearly articulated. So when they want to present internally and look at feasibility study, should we do this project? This could be one of the elements which have to understand, and that should be quantified. Bottom line, we can have wage these things also added to this, but primarily I should be always quantified, because if you don't quantify, it's not going to make sense. Nobody works on a vague thing. So we can have some sort of like I can say, okay, it will help you increase your brand value. Well, I understand brand value is a good thing, but how do you quantify it? So yes, that can be one more additional thing, but primarily it's always going to be quantified. And additionally, goodwill, the brand value can also come into picture. But please keep this in mind. My primary metric will always be measured, quantitative. Let's see that. That's what it's going to talk about, the quantification. Who is going to do that? So these are the things why a business value, why a business will start a project. Financial gain, money, bottom line, everything goes for money. To gain more customer, probably some sort of social benefit. We want to do, as a lot of companies do, a lot of initiative as a social responsibility. I want to be doing some sort of social projects, something like that. First to the market, always in agile. Agile is about software development. First is what is the original one, and the second one is always a copy. Some sort of improvement. We already have something, we want to get better. So some sort of upgrade something. And then this is about compliances, government, regulations, which can come into picture. And you have to, you are forced, and these are always deadlines. There are deadlines for you to commit, ensure your process is taken care of. You have a deadline to finish that. Like in India, we had this government abolished all those taxes and said, okay, there is one standard tax called something called GST, and you have to comply with that particular you have to kind of take care of, like, remove the older versions and accommodate this newer version. So governments will keep on coming up with different compliances, and those regulations have to be followed. So that's the regulation part. So there can be reason for doing a project, could be anything. Bottom line, in the end, it's all about money. Let's see. Let's go back and check this one. So this is the first thing we got to look at. And still you're not there. Usually performed by business analysts, because that's their job. That's their job. So before you start the business case, somebody has to look into the fact, well, bottom line, what's the money? But because business case core element, what is the meaning of business case? It tells you the economic justification of the project, why the project should be done. Money, all about money. So bottom line, when you say business case, why, what is the a benefit I will be getting in terms of money? That's all what I look into. But before this business case is going to be created, bottom line, the company is going to be somebody who's a business analyst will be trying to do all that, understand what's the business value, what will be created here, what are the risk assumptions we are working with when you start a project, how will we measure the improvement, and what will be the approach, whether you should be going with a predictive approach, whether you're going agile or hybrid. So there will be sort of high level preparing all that discussion. So we'll try to present a case in front of the leadership team. Well, this is so and so project we think we should be doing. And we might need this much of money. This will be tentatively like a 6 to 8 months project. Their potential risk factors are so and so. So you sort of give a high level idea. It's not 100% true, but because that's their job to present a case with, again, to the management. And while they do this job, if that feasibility study and all that initial discussion, if it's approved, that will become a business case. That will give you the reason, okay, now start the management is interested. So first of all, you have to have the go ahead for that. So the needs assessment has to be done. That's what you talk about, the needs assessment here. We need to understand, well, is there actually need to be doing a project or not? So that's what you want to go and tell the leadership team. Well, there is a need of doing a project. What will be the tentative cost, resource, time, which will be required? Tentative. You're not getting into detail. How will we measure it? What will be the basically approach? And you present that. When you present it, what will be added? Let's see. This is what this business analyst will do. Business case will happen thereafter. That's a part of the project. So this is typically prepared. Look at this. Are developed prior to the start of the project, usually by a business analyst or key stakeholders. So your business analyst will be there because they are the typical people who will be doing it. If you do not have a business analyst in your team, in your organization, you may have this job will be done by somebody from finance department. So sponsors, leadership team, they will sit down and kind of present a case in front of the management just to prove a point that is, it's worth, let's go ahead and start a project. This is not a project. This is still not a project. It's very, very early discussion where we just want to have a high level discussion about giving a high level idea. This will be the benefit. This will be there are the possible constraints we're working with. This much of cost will be required. Resources will be this much. Risk factors are this much. Bottom line, you give a high level information. And this is where you will have some calculations done. And calculations we'll be talking about what those will be in a moment. So if your calculations, those are justified and it makes sense to the leadership team, they'll say, okay, why don't you go and get started? So then the concept comes into picture of like creating a business case. A business case as I said, it's all about economic justification. Economic justification of your business, of the project. Why should the project be done? All in all, will go back to money only. So cost benefit analysis, and will the terms will be like net present value, IRR, internal rate of return, ROI, return on investment, your PBP, payback period. That these calculations are not supposed to be done by us. That we should be able to understand that. Uh, Having said that, while the business case is getting created, it's all about the project only. And once the business case is approved, and like that's when it'll lead to look at this. Acceptance of business case usually leads to creation of project charter. And that's where we come into picture. So this all has happened before us. We are nowhere in the picture till now. This is all the sponsor, the leadership team, and the business analyst. They are sort of cooking up the story. Along with business case, there is also something called benefits management plan. If you refer to the document, we've talked about that also. Business benefits management plan is additional add-on benefits, which we will be getting during and after the project also. So typically, most of the project-related metrics are right here. The benefits, why should it be done? But benefits management plan will take it even beyond that. So once the project is even over, what can we expect as a result of this particular project? There could be some add-on benefits. Well, for example, I'm doing a construction. I can get this when this house is built. Pretty much, I can get the job to do the interior decoration. That's also going to be an add-on benefit. So my project was to deliver a house. That's it, done. That was business case. Bottom line, I also get to work and give the interior decoration kind of thing. If I'm doing it like a design development of a website, well, what is going to be in the benefits management plan? I will get to take the annual maintenance from them. So I will be able to manage this website or app for them, and I'll charge a certain amount of money every year. So there will be additional, probably the client wants us to still help them at the client side. They want at least 2 to 3 people helping them because it's a new software we have designed for them. The people are not so used to it. So the client wants at least 2 3 people to be working on the client side for next 6 months, and the customers will still pay us for those people. So these are additional add-on benefits, which is, yes, content development. Yes, absolutely. There are additional stuff, which becomes one more reason to select a project. A, I get this. B, this is add-on, cherry on the cake. So bottom line. So this is additional add-on benefit. So benefits management plan is one more reason to select a project. So we have a project A, we have a project B. This is also going to be giving 50,000. This is going to be 50,000. But here we get, say, $5,000 of benefits management plan. And here we may be getting, say, 20,000. This is one more reason to go with the project B. So it's an add-on additional benefits, which we'll be looking into. So it's one more reason for going with the project A and not with project B here. That's how we do it. All in all, this is all happening before you. So, well, no worries. It's not that we will be doing anything out of this. But again, we should know what they mean. We should know a business case. The business case will be any which is a part of your project charter, because this business case will be a input to a project charter. So, and benefits management plan will automatically come along with that, because it's all been decided based on which project has been approved here. But I will not be doing it anything here in terms of as a project manager. And please keep this in mind. It is not a project management plan. Project management plan, remember the planning documents, that's the planning document. These are not the planning document. This is before. So if you remember that the entire Excel sheet, we had a list of planning process. You did not see anywhere a benefits management plan. Why? Because these are not planning. These are happening before you. The project management plan is created by you. So till the time you have come into picture, it can't be a project management plan. So this document, this plan is not a part of your project management plan. This is already created before you. So please keep this in mind. You are the one. When you get into picture, you will do the scope management plan, the schedule management plan, cost management. You will be doing all that stuff. But all in all, you should know it. You should know all this, what it means. This reference will be asked in PMP exam. It just see it. You should know business. Let's say 8% is in this context. 8% is still you get tested on. So they're not expecting you to know in and out of this, what happens, what kind of discussion. No, they're not expecting. But honestly, we should know what is the business case, what is the benefits man. We should know it. Please keep that. And yes, we should know that this is not a part of a project management plan, because this was created before you and you are the one creating a project management plan. Is it clear? Conceptually, we should know the meaning of this, and practically what is the, because technically they're not expecting you to know the job of a business analyst. But again, we should know what these are. So pretty much, I am not in the picture here till now. Should we expect? Yeah, you should. 8% of your examination question is on this lesson number 1. 8%. So last week, like the day before yesterday, we talked about difference between project, portfolio. That was also 8%. So the lesson number 1 is 8% of your examination questions. The entire lesson number 1 is 8%. So knowing this will be, look at this. You will not need to calculate any of these for the exam. Please keep this in mind. You're not supposed, because they're not expecting you to become a business analyst. Your role is not in there. But again, having said that, as a project manager, should I know this? Yes, I should know this. Bottom line, I should have an understanding what is it, even though I'm not the one creating. So business acumen, business knowledge should be there. So I should be able to differentiate between what is a project, what is a program, what is a portfolio, what do you mean by business case, what do you mean by a benefits management plan? Is that a part of a project management plan? All that basic elements. So this is just more of a conceptually we should know it. Not black, because, and look at this. This is what nobody is going to ask you to calculate any of these, but conceptually we should know what do you mean by opportunity cost? What do you mean by this net present value? What are we talking about? Internal rate of return. We should know this. Let's understand what is it. First of all, we talk about from a business standpoint, there is a term called payback period. Now, the question will be in such a way that you will be given in the end an option to choose between project A or project B, and they would have mentioned a payback period. And they say, which one would you select? They may say, okay, payback period for this is 3 years, and payback period for project is say 5 years. Which one should you be picking up as a project? Bottom line, I should know what do I mean by period. Am I supposed to calculate? No. But should I be able to understand and select the project? Payback period means the time it will take for you to recover your money. So if I invest in a project, say $100,000 today, how much time, how many years typically it will take me to recover my money? In the first case, I'm able to recover 100,000 in the first 3 years. And the second one says, oh, it'll take you 5 years. Why would I go with 5? I'll go with project A. Makes logical sense. Here I have to wait for 5 years to get my money. The break even, yes, to get my money back. What I invest is what I get back is in 3 years. And here so after 3 years, it's all profit. After 5 years, it's all profit. Bottom line, it does not make logical sense. So I got to keep in mind when I get a question about what says payback period and gives you something like this, lesser the better, sooner the better. I get my money back. I got to recover my money. That's what it's lesser the better. Now, let's see, what do you mean? Same question, same scenario. Then it says opportunity cost. And please keep this in mind here. There can be a discrepancy in terms of understanding. So opportunity cost, we definitely need to understand. There's a project A. And if I do if I go with this project, the benefits, the profits we're talking about, including the benefits management plan in total, I'm saying this total benefits the company will be getting, say, $50,000. And there is a project B. If I do this project, I will get $80,000. Logically, I know that's a better project. Now, when I say opportunity cost, how much will be opportunity cost if I go with the project B? What is opportunity cost if I go with project B? Opportunity cost, this is 50,000. This is 80,000. Opportunity cost to go with project B. If I choose the project B, what is the cost of opportunity? And that's why I wanted to talk about this. So please keep this in mind. It is not the difference. My opportunity cost is complete $50,000. My opportunity cost is complete $50,000. What I'm losing, simple as that. It's not the difference. Please don't go. And that's why I wanted to talk about. Don't go by the difference. What it says, your project A, 50,000 benefit. If I had option, I would have run both of them. I would have earned 50 also. I would have earned 80 also. I don't have a choice. I have to select one. So I'm letting go 50,000. I'm letting go 50,000 to make 80,000. So my opportunity cost for going with project B is 50,000. I'm losing a project worth 50,000. So it's not the difference. Please keep this in mind. It is not the difference what the entire worth of the project. So answer has to be 50,000. If I go with project A, my opportunity cost is 80,000. Would you if you have to lose, bottom line, you can do only one. Would you lose less? Would you lose more? I would always lose less. So technically, opportunity cost is always lesser the better. So we will see which has higher opportunity cost. I will not go with that. Lesser opportunity cost will always be preferred. So I may have 3 different projects for that matter. It's not the difference. Okay, let's say project A, the benefit. This is all benefit A, B, and let's keep A, B, C, D. This is 20,000 benefit, 30,000 benefit, 40,000 benefit, 50,000 benefit. So you know what is the opportunity cost if I go with this project for losing? I will be caught like so here. If I choose project A, my opportunity cost in comparison to this will be this, and this. All of it. I'm letting go. I'm choosing one. So what I will be doing in order to select the project, which project should I be choosing? If I have to go and keep it this mind opportunity cost, what project should I be picking, and what will be my opportunity cost to be the smarter one? Which project should I pick up? I should pick up D, yes. And remaining is going to be the total will be my opportunity cost. That's it. So keep this in mind. Please keep this in mind. It's not the difference. It's a total that you lose. Bottom line. If I had option, if I had money, it is all about A and B. It's not like we don't get into those details initially for us. It's all about initial discussion, which is happening in the benefits management plan, the initial part of discussion. They don't go in that level of detail. It's initially high level. We say, okay, how much money here? How much money here? So if I'm doing with A, what do I lose? Okay, I am letting go. If I choose project D, I will make most money. If I have option to do only one project, I will pick up this one because this is where I gain more. And what is my opportunity cost? To select D, I have to let go these. To select D, I lost these, right? So my opportunity cost will be this 20 plus 30, 50 and 90. My loss is 90,000. In order to pick 50, I have to let go this. So that's my opportunity cost. I lost that. So please, it's not the difference. If I like to make it simple, if I just want to make it very simple, let's keep A and B only. Let's keep this is 20,000 and this is 50,000. I have got 50,000. If I want to go with 50,000, my opportunity cost will be 20,000. If I go with 20,000 project, I will be losing 50,000. So I always go for a lower opportunity cost. Please make this in mind. We don't look at the difference as opportunity. It's a total cost. So I will be selecting a project B. Why? Because there is low opportunity cost. Simple as that. Concept you should keep in mind. Payback period is lesser the better. Opportunity cost is lesser the better. And that's what now all these elements are higher the better. So we got to the concept perspective, we should have this key picture in mind. Why opportunity cost is important? Because I want to select lose less money and select the better one. If my opportunity cost is high, if my opportunity cost is high, and I have, like say, I have a choice of picking only one project, I will always pick up a project where I will have a lowest opportunity cost. But I don't want to lose more, right? So if I have an option of picking one project, I will see where I lose less. It's a loss. It's a loss we want to minimize. If I choose a particular project, what do I lose? The remaining project. So I want to lose less. So I will pick up always the highest benefit so that I lose the lesser projects there. Smaller projects I will be lose. I'm okay because I will be making more money. I can't pick up a small project and lose more money, right? Opportunity cost is what you lose. What you don't do is what you lose. There's an opportunity which is lost. Well, it's not about why we don't look at differences. The entire money, if I had option, I could have saved that money. And project manager, we are not there. Well, still not there. This is the language, how it works in like in financial world. Because if I had an opportunity, if I had resources, I would have done both of them. But if given a chance, I have only one. So I'm losing one. And how much I'm losing? The whatever is the cost. The complete. Please keep this in mind. There's no difference. Okay, again, there's no difference we're looking at. It's the actual total budget, the money that we're losing, A or B. We'll be looking into that. It's not the difference. Opportunity cost is what you don't pick is what you lose. Simple as that. What you don't pick is what you lose. So if I've got project A and project B, well, A is worth 20,000, B is worth 50,000. If you pick up A, you're going to lose 50,000. If you pick up B, you lose 20,000. I will lose less, always. Lesser the better. So opportunity cost will always be lesser the better. We will only be, the feasibility study will only come into picture. Okay, please, let's not get into the details there. Please keep this in mind. This discussion between the projects will only happen then when they have already decided that these projects are worth and we have the capability to work on them. So this discussion of financial will come into picture when they have already worked on the discussion and evaluating the projects between them. So they would have already discussed about that. Yeah, the total gains that we'll be getting. Yes, forecasted gains from the project. So please keep this in mind. This all that detailed discussion is later. It's more about high level. They're trying to understand how much if I go with project A, B, C, D, and they try to see which one will give me maximum benefit so that the ones which are lower ones, I can leave it. So opportunity cost will always be the difference which I don't pick up. Now here, these all three metrics are always about higher the better here. Higher the better. If I pick it up, like when you say, okay, let's understand all of it. Like all these metrics are always about internal rate of return, ROI, or net present value. Technically, they're all about higher the better. We always go with higher value. Please keep it. No, again, it's not going to be calculated, but typically just want to make sure that we understand what is the meaning of like high level, at least from concept perspective. If I have a project, like I want somebody to invest in a project, if the cost, like, or probably the investment I'm looking for is say $1 million today. If I want to go out and market, I can buy something worth 1 million today. Probably it's a house or whatever I want to buy. I can buy actually 1 million, something, whichever I want, whatever I want to pick up, I can buy that. So the value of this 1 million is today equal to 1 million, absolutely 1 million. So if I return this 1 million after 5 years to you, and I exactly return 1 million, do you think I will be able to buy the same item? Say there was a house I was able to buy today. There was an option I could have bought this house for 1 million today. And I chose no, let me not buy it with this. I will invest it somewhere, and after 5 years, I'm return this 1 million. Do you think it's the same house I can buy for 1 million after 1 year? Is it worth 1 million now? No. The value of money has depreciated because of inflation and all that. So it's not worth 1 million. So basically, the value gets depreciated in the future. So when people say, well, invest today and keep investing for 20 years and you will get X amount of money, well, they are showing you a bigger picture. They are inflating the number because of, like, you might see a bigger number, but you translate the future money into current scenario, you will see that money is way, way too less as compared to what you're looking for. It's not, I might say 1.1 million, it's going to be less. Bottom line, I will still be losing if I convert this future money value in current scenario. I will see, is it higher than this or lower than this? It is always, let me quickly show it you. We will not get into details. Please, I'm just trying to do a high level calculation so that you can understand the difference here. But we will not get into details. I can't get into explanation, but I will still just quickly make sure that you understand this. I'm just going to do this one right now. But just for understanding sake, we'll not get into, well, we are not supposed to do any of these. Let's say I'm talking about this $1,000, like the, okay, let me see, minus 4, 3, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. Let's keep. This is the investment we're talking about. Investment we're asking for. And we're saying, okay, I will give you money back. So I'm putting a negative sign. Why? Because I'm losing money. I'm investing money. So year one, I'm expected to receive, let's say, $250,000 as net profit after, not the revenue, net profit after deduction, like after the net profit code, whatever you call this, after I was spending everything. Let's say keep it 5 years plan and say this is the plan, we will get it. So typically, if I look at this, how much am I making here? The total sum of money that I'll receive here at the end of 5 years is this. Sum of all the money received So I'm spending about 1 million. I'm getting 1.25 million. Why not? Is it not a good deal? Perhaps looks like a good deal. Is it actually the good deal? Let's see. So typically what I'm saying is I'm getting about $250,000 extra, right? I'm investing 1 million and I'm getting $250,000 extra. Is it actually 250,000 I'm getting extra? Well, let's see this. So how do you do that? I said I can't get into the discussion, but I'm just going to give you a high level. NPV. We always consider something called a dead rate. We refer it as dead rate, or basically the rate of fixed deposit, which is the lowest guaranteed. So if I in the beginning, if I say, oh, I don't invest in this project, if I put this money in a fixed deposit, which is like a fixed income, I will get that, which is we get lowest possible interest on this one. If I save money, I will get lowest possible, whatever is the industry wise at that point in time, lowest possible interest. So here right now, like I'm talk about India here, we have about 6% rate of interest as the lowest. If I put that money in a fixed deposit rate, I get 6% rate of return. So that is what is used as industry rate with dead rate, bare minimum guaranteed risk-free rate. I'll get it 100% 6% return every year. That's the rate what is used. And then you put all this, including the negative, till this 5 year. You're only making 50,000 extra. You're looking at 250. No, it's not 250. You're only getting 50,085 only extra. So it looks like an inflated number. The worth of this value, this money is just 10,000, like 1 million plus 50,000 only. It's just 1 million and 50,000, not 250. So when you kind of do that discounting, it looks like, let me just make it a worse. Now it will. Now let me make it say, you're still making money? Yes. I'm still getting 1.15 million. Nobody, you're losing money. You're losing money here. So worth of this 1.15 million that you will be getting in future is, if you convert, so what I'm doing here, the 250 that I'll get at the end of 1 year, it's not going to be worth so today, if I invest this 1 million somewhere, I said, like, this is my planned dream house. It is worth 1 million. I could go and buy this house for 1 million today. This money is worth 1 million today. When I talk about this 250, which I'll be getting after 1 year, it's not worth 250. So I have to convert the value of this money in current scenario. What is the worth the future money that I'm looking at? What's the value of that money today? The 250 which I'll get, what is the value here? What is the value of this money in current scenario? What is the value of this money in current scenario? What is the value of this money in current? You convert all that money, you see, at this rate, if I'm looking like I'm investing 1 million, I'm getting 1.15 million, but you are losing about 20,000. It's fixed because fixed deposit is fixed. That's a fixed deposit. That's the same rate. So you're losing. Although it looks like you're beginning, you're losing money in the worth of this money in current scenario will be this much. Well, because in my Excel picks up Indian currency, you can put that. Logic will still be the same. The currency has to be just changed. Logic will still be the same. Currency is just more of a function which has to be added. All in all, bottom line we're trying to establish here is that the money that you get in future is not worth the same, like, so what you invest today. So with time, whenever we look for the rate of return, these values we try to convert. Whenever somebody says, okay, you invest this much and you will be making X amount of money as a profit, we try to convert that future money in current scenario and then see, is it actually worth doing it or not? Because right now it looks like 1.15 million is higher than 1 million. No, if you convert that future money and get the current value of that, you will be losing about 20,000 there, which is a bad deal. So, well, practically all that calculations we're not supposed to do. Bottom line, we should know this. There are different ways how you assess this. The internal rate of return, it gives you percentage wise. Internal rate of return is generally used by in terms of percentage. Higher the better. ROI, higher the better. So basically these metrics will be always considered. If you're able to maintain them, the higher the better. So conceptually, we should keep in mind these metrics: net present value, internal rate of return, and return on investment is going to be always the metrics which should be always considered higher, because higher the better. I'm going to make more money, and payback period and opportunity cost will always be lesser the better. Conceptually, this is what we got to keep in mind. Question and scenario will be given, and you will be asked to pick up a project as the right project given this value. So the question could be talking about our like net present value. The question could be talking about internal rate of return. Could be talking about opportunity cost. So you got to get that clarity, whether it's higher the better or lower the better. That concept should be clear in your mind. Is it okay with everyone? And which is you're not supposed to do any calculations here. All in all, you got to keep this in mind for sure. Is it higher the better or lower the better? Okay, let's move ahead. Now, this section is all about organizational culture. And the moment I say organizational culture, please keep this in mind. It's all going to talk about project management office, because that's what they're covering. They are the guardians of this culture of project management. They're the ones managing the entire culture, like rules, guidelines, policies. So again, high level, this first one is just about high level, because everything will get detailed in subsequent lessons. It's just a high level one. Let's see, quick one. The change management, PMO, is supposed to kind of set the culture. They will be the one, if there's something which has to be changed, you want, say, there's a template document given by them, and you don't want to use it probably because it's not that you don't like, but you have a better suggestion. You can't just make that change. You have to always loop in project management office. They are the ones deciding, approving, and standardizing it. So if there's a better change, they open for suggestions, feedback. You go and talk to them, explain them. If there is logical reasoning, they will be able to change it. But changes will be done at PMO. So they control the changes in the because it has to be standardized. Because if we let things happen the way it, like every project manager will start making the things in a different way, which is not a right way. So it has to be standardized at some level. And that's why PMO does that job of standardization. So they are the ones responsible for change, PMO. Well, please keep this in mind. And a lot of people, and have that, I have seen a lot of people, LinkedIn's profile, people write designation PMO, but that's not designation. People end up writing PMO as designation. It's wrong, because PMO is an office. Do you write HR? Do you write operations as designation? No, PMO is an office. Project management office is like one more department, like your other department, IT, finance, marketing, and all that. You have one more department. Within PMO, you could have a different role. So writing PMO as a designation is the wrong thing. Honestly, it's the wrong thing, because it is meaningless, because people who don't understand that might look like, okay, this guy is from project management. Well, but what's your role? You can't write designation like your office as your department as your designation. That's really good to know pretty much. But again, that's not the right thing. Change management, bottom line, these people will control it. They are the ones who will be controlling it. Well, we as a project manager, I said, like, we should have a clear picture overview of these things. And most of these things, what we see here, now these are in lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4. This is an overview. Whatever slides we will now from here on will cover, the overview of what we will be seeing in the future lessons. So you will see a lot of slides about leadership, where different type of leadership, and you not got to know every type of leadership, because there's nothing called perfect leadership. You'll have to do like mix and match, switch into different job roles. Sometimes you will become like a person who says, well, I'm the boss. And sometimes you will say, okay, why don't you take it? So there are different type of leadership styles. We'll talk about them, and the authority level associated with that. In Agile, we don't have a problem. We have only one, which is servant leadership. Servant leadership is what in Agile we use. There is nothing or other. Yeah, team has authority. So team works on autonomous behavior. Bottom line, but then we'll get there in HS. Shared vision, beliefs, and expectation, that's your project charter. So whatever the management wants you to work on, that's the vision. Basically, you have what is going to be created. Project charter will have business case, the problem statement, the goal statement, and all that. So that's all expected written in project charter. We'll see a sample of it also. Very, very important. And they are slides, complete slide. They're just given one. It's more of an index. Please, from here on, it's all about index. Diversity. This is a very important topic. You always get a question on this. Very important one. Diversity, equity, inclusion practices. In a nutshell, let's quickly talk about it. When we get people from different diverse background, a lot of project managers get scared. Well, say I got people from different diverse background. You know what will happen? I will get new ideas. And that's not like in certain cases, people are scared too, because I want people to just say, yeah, well, I decided, I'm the boss. I decided I want people to simply say yes and follow it. I'm the boss, right? But a good project, and I like some people who get scared because, well, you might get people from different background, different culture, different belief systems, and they will come with new ideas. And that's when diversity becomes a problem for people who are weak project managers, because they will be challenged. And we always want to say that never treat that as a problem. Diversity is great. You should be happy and you should be saying thanks to your luck. because you got the people from different nationality, people from with different diverse background, different belief system, religion, bottom line, everything. It's a great thing to have. We should embrace diversity. It's amazing. You're lucky to have one. I don't want to be looking at mirror. I want people who are vocal. I hate people who say yes. I love no sayers, because those are the ones who are thinking, who are still live. Bottom line, I want diverse background, because that's where I do not want my opinion to win. I don't want your opinion to win. I want the right opinion to win. So I want people to have opinions. I want people to say, discuss. That's when you have a good team. So I don't want, so diversity should be embraced. Equity, everyone is equal, including project manager. So we will have a team charter created. Team charter is a guideline. When the project is initiated, you get some people. A team charter is created, which is about ground rules, about roles and responsibilities of project manager, of the team members, of the sponsor, and the ground rules, the office reporting timing, conflict resolution methods, and acceptable behavior, and all those things are documented by the team. So we create a ground rule, and nobody's above that. So irrespective of your gender, caste, like nationality, skin color, religion, nothing, it doesn't matter. Everyone is equal, and everyone is responsible to go by that rule. So the rule book is meant for even project manager. That doesn't give me any immunity from this, that I can start behaving. No, sorry. Everyone has to follow this, including the project manager. Very important part, inclusion practices. Well, in the project team, it's quite like, I'm sure we all know of that aspect. Like we have experience, I'm sure you're handling it also. Some people are way too quick, like very smart ones, like quick learners. Some people take time. It's not that the ones who take time are dumb. No. Some people take time to process. And like it's quite possible that what you're trying to go through a particular phase of a project, somebody may be struggling and you may be very good with that. So I can't leave that person behind. It's a part of, he or she is a part of my team. So it's a job of the entire team to make sure everyone is taken into consideration. If somebody is struggling, we just should not leave it. Well, bottom simple rule of inclusion is, that's the finishing line. We have started project here. Well, at this stage, somebody may be very fast, somebody may be very, very fast, somebody may be slow, somebody may be slow. Well, you can't just run and just cross the line. Bottom line, you may be fast or slow. You must, right now, this guy is struggling. Tomorrow, you might be struggling. The part that this guy is doing right now, and you are probably very good with that, you did it. But now this guy is struggling. We all must pitch in and include everyone, because it's quite possible the task which is supposed to do here, you will struggle completely. This guy will be the one pulling you up. You just cannot have a negative behavior towards the person who is not able to cope up. Try to pitch in, and that's the job of the team, entire team, including project manager, to have inclusion practices. Everyone, nobody should be looked at from that this person is a hindrance, unless it's a will issue, and we'll talk about those elements. But our bottom line, its simple logic says that we all must cross the line together. That's the finishing line. We must all cross this line together. Nobody is good, big, or no small. Everyone must be included. Risk tolerances, we'll talk about it, because that's entire about risk management stuff. We have discussed, identify the risk, qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis. We'll talk about that. Regulation policies, procedures. This is all about quality management. We'll talk about different kind of quality management tools. We'll be talking about. We'll be dealing with the quality related aspects to deal with. Some are internal policies. Some could be client given policies. Some could be product or feature service that you're designing. That product or service related quality parameters could be government related. So we'll talk about those elements will come in. It's about quality. Code of conduct. I hope we have already referred to that page. I've already shared in the downloadable folder, PMI Code of Ethics. I hope we have read that 8-page document. If you have not done it, please do that. In the downloadable folder, you have the PMI Code of Ethics. It's very, very important. Why? Because you will get questions from that. 8-page document, PMI Code of Ethics. Has anyone read that book, like that 8-page document in the downloadable folder? You downloaded all the material there. Please do read it. It's only 8 pages, and you get about roughly, you could get easily 2 to 3 questions from that. Please read it, understand it. It's very simple. Like what are the basically ethics to be followed by the project manager? We should be honest, transparent. Just check them out. It's very simple, but please go through them. Operating environments, bottom line, it's more about knowing the work culture there, whichever organization we're working in, and which is where you talk about this. This is very important. You always get a question. We'll learn about 4 types of leaderships motivational theories. You always get a question around this. Motivation theories, absolutely, like it looks like theory, but it's amazing. Honestly, it has a big relevance in the real world. So we will definitely talk about this, and I would definitely want you to apply these motivational theories in the real project. It works. It's not just theory, it actually works. It's amazing. The 4 methods we'll talk about, and we'll talk about difference between reward and recognition, which is very important. Pretty much that's what you got to be will be working out, but that's part of lesson number 4. We'll be discussing this element here, but not right now. Anyway, it is an index, like a checklist that we will be going through in subsequent one. Quick one here, that's what I would really want to talk about is whenever and this is still not project management. Project has not started. Please, this is just basic elements project manager should be aware of. Whenever we're trying to inculcate, like create a change, promote a change, we say we should go with an ADKAR model. ADKAR model, very effective, logical approach. Rather, I would say logical approach. We have a fancy name called ADKAR model. Well, what do you do that? Whenever you say, for example, we are trying to go ahead and get some software, and this software will do the attendance, automatic attendance stuff, automatic. So right now we have manual stuff. So you go and write, sign manually. That's how attendance gets captured. Now we're trying to have like some fingerprint based or probably access card related attendance system. So you punch in and punch out. That's obviously something new, and people are already used to the old system, manual, like you go and sign. So don't try to go and enforce a change. It's a wrong way just to impose something on like head of somebody. Okay, Mr. Mehndi, I would request, it's not in the day one folder. It's in the downloadable material which was shared. In Excel sheet, you'll see the downloaded material where you had all the material there. Please check that out there. All the study material is there. Exam material is there. So this is where we talk about whenever we want to go and inculcate any, like probably enforce a change. Don't do that. That's the wrong way. Always try to create a need for change. Try to create awareness. Do not enforce it. So just try to go and make sure people are informed and updated. You might talk about case studies. Try to create the hype around it, because you want acceptability. You don't want people to start retaliating. Oh, well, one day if I don't punch in I forgot to punch in my card, what will happen to my salary? People will have apprehension, because what's wrong with the current system? We have been doing for so many years. Why we need to have this attendance sort of access card or thumb, like fingerprint, a thumb, whatever? Why do we have to do that? So people will have a problem. So it's good to create awareness before you actually roll it out. Create an awareness so people will get to see how people are doing it, how effective it has become, it's error-free and all that. Make a buzz around it. So before a change is actually rolled out, create an awareness. When you talk about it, now after this, we always try to do one thing, is we call as attitudinal survey. Attitudinal survey. When we've done this job of kind of doing the spreading and awareness, we do an attitudinal survey to understand how people are feeling about it. Because I would love to understand whether people are happy, excited, not happy, or dissatisfied with this new change. So an attitudinal survey will give me an idea how people are ready to. So I need to capture the desire to support the change. So based on my attitudinal survey, I will be able to understand whether people are excited, what percentage of people are excited, neutral, and all that. Now, based on that, I would like to kind of understand, based on the feedback I've get, I may want to go and have an open discussion. Say, I believe that a lot of people may not be happy, and that's when I want to make sure that I will. You have to have an open mind. Don't have that mindset that, okay, I'm always right. I will do what I've thought will be right. It's quite possible that people may have a genuine problem. People may have and their apprehension is correct. So it's quite possible that you may not have thought about every angle. These people who are going to be beneficiary all will get impacted. They have a logical reasoning. So that people can, when people do that, be open for feedback. And that's what I want people to understand. Well, this is what we are planning to do. And we would like to take your opinion. Let us know what is the challenge, what are the problems that you think you will face with this, so we can incorporate that. So there's nothing wrong. I can be wrong. So I'm open for feedback. Please let me know. So I want people to understand, well, it is something which is going to happen, and we want you to participate in this to make it better for you. It's done for you. So we have some sort of groundwork done, but I want it's your stuff. Please understand your involvement is required. So tell me what are the challenges. So we sit down and understand, and either you are able to convince them or they are able to convince you. Incorporate the right, whatever is the final one. And now people will have an idea of like what needs to be done. So people give them an idea. If they have apprehension solved, give them the reason. Okay, this is how it will be handled. They say, okay, this is apprehension. Well, this is how it will be handled. So you tell them, because they don't have proper knowledge and idea about it. So you address their queries. And yes, it's quite possible one of the problem they might have concern asked about, and you don't have an answer for that. So that's a genuine. Let's include that. So tell, with all due respect, you will, and thanks. I'm like really happy that we got this meeting done, because we were able to figure out that's a loophole. And yes, thank you for bringing this up, and we will incorporate that. So there's nothing wrong. There's no shame in saying that, well, we missed out. Okay, we all make mistakes. It's okay. It happens. So, well, we will have that knowledge transfer done. Now, we roll out the change. The changes are because we involve everyone. We've taken the feedback. We incorporated feedback wherever their apprehensions we already had. They had no knowledge. So we answer, this is how it will solve. This is how it will solve. So people are sort of okay. Now people that we implement, and now we want people to see how it's done. So you want to demonstrate, you want people to start using that tool, so people get used to it. But it's quite possible whenever you inculcate a change and you just leave it, people will go back, because people always want to go back to their comfort zone. So we always want to make sure once you have implemented something, well, let people do it and then reinforce till it becomes a habit. So reinforcement, a lot of companies do till here, but they miss out the last part, reinforcement. So we implemented, we expect the people are doing it. No. Well, you have to reinforce till it becomes a habit or a culture. So last ADKAR model is meant for a change management. When you want to inculcate a change, implement a change, please follow a right approach, a logical approach, in a stepwise approach. So it will always make sure that you will not have retaliation coming from people. The change has to be, people should be a part of the change, rather it should not be enforced upon them. That's all the ADKAR model. Good to know. Again, well, nobody's going to task you, but again, please conceptually should keep in mind what it does and what is the ADKAR model for. Is it okay and clear? Quick check on this one. ADKAR model. Okay, perfect. Can we do a trial period on the change? Why? Absolutely. Why not? Everything's fair. Never say never. Do whatever you want. Please do that. Like, see, you're the boss, and that's what PMI also says. See, there are certain things we're telling you, but you are the best judge. You are the one who are dealing with the challenge. You know the people, you know the culture, and please customize your tools. And you can always do that. And this is the same it's talking about. During knowledge transfer, training, readiness activities, you have to do this plan for change. So include an attitudinal survey, find out how people are feeling, create an informational campaign to familiarize people with the changes, be open and transparent about potential effect of the changes, and consider rolling out. So you do whatever you want. Bottom line, just go ahead and do whatever you want. Again, it says, it's not a part of your project management plan. Why? Because your project has not even started. Your job, please keep this in mind. All this planning we're talking about, this is just for a change management, how you incorporate. So do not have that mind. This is nothing to do with, as of now, your project discussion will start from lesson number 2. So that's when the project management plan will get created. Rather, lesson number 3, the project management plan will get created. So nothing in here. Lesson number 3, lesson number 1, lesson number 2 will be about initiating a project, which is your project charter will be created, not the project management plan. It will be in lesson number 3. So let's move on. When you say governance, who does it? Project management office. This is all about high level stuff, which has all been there. But chapter 1 will be part of PMI, 100%, all of it. It's 8% of your exam. It's more of see, when you read the remaining chapters, you by default know all of it. The only elements you might not see in other chapters is the difference between the project, program, and portfolio. So certain elements, because by the way, you go through chapter number 2 till chapter number 6, you will sort of know 95% of your chapter number 1. But we still go and do that here. There'll be repetition. This is all about high level, because everything will be in detail in subsequent chapters. Project governance is PMO. So project governance is going to be managed by PMO, technically the various kind of organization. Well, what kind of PMO, strong PMO, weak PMO? It depends on the kind of PMO we have. It all depends on the kind of culture we have in the organization. So it helps you to kind of ensure that it is one centralized body which is helping everyone and sort of like ensuring that it's a right shape. If there are changes, it's one standard communication is happening, and nobody's sort of taking their decisions based on their own decisioning. So like own reasoning. So all that, like whether you're doing a predictive project, you will, or a hybrid project or a agile project, bottom line, you will be always referring to all this like a PMO for all the basically material, whatever you need. And typically you will require from them the lesson learned documents. When you refer to the chapters, are you referring to PMBOK? No, 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 PMBOK, no, no. The chapters in this module that we're talking about, PMBOK is a reference guide, an extra reference guide. Good to read and nothing to memorize. Good to read, definitely, yes. Please read it. But it's the chapters we're talking about. Lessons, the recorded lessons I have shared, these are 6 lessons. That's what we'll be covering up in these presentations. This presentation is linked with your exam content outline. That's the only document which has 100% linkage with your exam content outline. And there's no book, not even PMBOK. Okay. So we're referring to the actual material which needs to be studied and nothing else. Okay, quick one here. Who does this governance? And look at this. It is very easy to understand. If we have a very like a strong, like I would say not strong, but constraint, like a PMO which is very much controlling, it will be very difficult for people to work with. If it's too relaxed, then people will take it very casually. So you should have a balanced approach here. So that's what well, it's about people like us and people in the governance body, which is PMO, should have that understanding. We should not do it too much, which suffocates people. And we should not leave it too small that people like too easy for people to be like, oh, well, what's the big deal? Well, we'll handle it. So it should not be like there's a balance has to be created. Okay, good one. Ruksan, is it sufficient to understand this only? For everything else, you have to understand only everything, be it PMBOK, be this study material. You have to understand only, nothing to memorize. A memorization, there will be some topic, we'll talk about them as and when something comes in, but most of it has to be memorized because nothing will come as a straightforward question. It's all scenario based, so nothing will work if you sit down and memorize. There will be, we got to understand their terms related to what does it mean, because you'll have all scenario based questions. So nothing will come from a book, any book for that matter. Best way is to prepare by writing questions. Preparing for exam, that's Rita Mulke. But again, let's do it as per the plan. Okay, governance will be handled by PMO. That's what they will be doing as per the organization policies. Again, typically depends on how the governance level, the control level will depend on how critical the project is, what kind of project we are working on, what kind of industry. So generic stuff, nothing out here. All in all, who does this governance? Only the PMO. Project Management Office is the one who is going to do that governance. How strong, weak will depend on the criticality. And like, so it's a government project. Government project, you'll have more regulation stuff. So you'll be more critical about those things which can bring in legal trouble. So yes, based on that, the PMO will be more taking authorities and all that. So there will be problem here. What's the outcome of the governance exercise? Is that matrix? So see, PM Project Management Office is another separate department which is responsible for just managing it. So you don't have a separate exercise here. Like technically the PMO, which is an office, a department, which is responsible just oversee all the projects. So you have like one more department which just responsible to oversee projects and provide documents, do audits. That's their job. That's it. It's like not additional one. Like the 3 types of PMO we've talked about. One are controlling, one are supporting PMO. We talk about directive PMO. That could be the nature of the governance, and that's the control part we're talking about. Is it clear? The 3 types of PMOs we discussed already. And that was day before yesterday. That was it, typically. So how much of involvement they will make in your project will sort of depend on that. Rita Mulke, yes, absolutely the best one. The best one is Rita Mulke. There's nothing better than that in the market, till date, at least. That's the book to read. In and out, in and out, in and out. Do as much as you can. That's the right thing that will prepare you for the exam. There's nothing else, honestly, apart from what you're covering here. But again, that's what you have to practice more. So what this PMO does is provides projects oversight. Basically, they will be kind of looking into, like, in case there are historical projects available, may include project sponsors, senior managers, PMOs, basically who will be part of the PMO body, PMO resources. They'll look at key review. The bottom line, they will give guidance about the project. Bottom line, that's what they do. PMO is able to oversee the project. When they will be key decision makers, will be part of PMO. They will be looking into like if in case your project is on track, and they will be giving guidance. Audits will be done by them. Bottom line, they're a governance body. how strong or weak will be sort of depend on that. So it's okay. I don't see questions. Jairam, please go and read the Brita Mulke. You will be seeing that question. It's a complete question bank. And the government as a committee or governance is committee. It's governance committee. Governance, like see, go by the little like governance is the who is going to govern, and that's what project management office is supposed to do. Governs all the all project related stuff is in their hand. They're the one. It's a committee, a department, you call whatever you want. Bottom line, that's their job to control what's happening in the projects. They control the historical projects documents, the OPAs. They control the templates document. They will be doing audits. They will be like, and so who is going to be part of PMO? Well, again, definitely may include project sponsor also could be part of the PMO, senior managers and other project management office resources. So there's a department here. We can have multiple people aligned to that department to oversee projects. Is that okay? Again, these are so governance. Yeah, so governance is done by PMO. Governance is done by PMO. Governance is an act performed by PMO. I'm governing. That's a governance is like when you say PMO is the one. PMO is doing governance, which is governing and overseeing what's happening there. And when you talk about agile, we call it value delivery offices. Value delivery offices we have in case of agile. We in short we call as VDO. They are the one who are doing that job. In case of agile, they have like 50 plus methods of agile practices. One of them is called SAFE, which is like a enterprise-wise, like that's very different from what you talk about in Scrum. This is for enterprise-wise agile implementation. They're done, but please keep this in mind. Our job is only deal with Scrum because PMI, the agile we learning is Scrum-based. PMI has alliance with Scrum only. That's PMI Scrum Alliance. So we are going to study the agile part, which is Scrum-based, which is what we have seen so far. Is there always a PMO or depends on the company? No, it's not necessarily, sir. You are right about that. It's not always a PMO. If we don't have a PMO, that job will be handled by you, the project manager. Then you are the governing body here. So yes, you will be then doing all that job. If there's no PMO, there's no body or rule guide like which is going to do that, then practically it's you. Then you will probably set the culture there. You will standardize the documentation. Well, if you have a PMO, great. It's always blessing to have one. But otherwise, if you don't, then you have extra work to be done there. Quick check on this one. So governance is all about who is going to govern. That's it. That is, so governance will be done by project management office. So there's one office which is controlling everything in terms of what is happening in the project. The level of control will vary from project, from like kind of company we're working on. So what kind of PMO, we would have a supportive one, which will just help you with templates, documents, OPAs and all that. So one will just say, okay, I'm giving you all that and I'll audit also. And third one will say, no, I will tell you what to do. So that directive PMO. Is that okay with everyone? Quick check on this one. Still checklist. These are all checklists we're talking about. Okay, have a quick look at this one idly. We're talking about in case of predictive, what happens in case of agile, what happens? Let's see, quick one. In case of predictive here, okay, let me just quickly move this chat here. Okay, we have in case of predictive method, we will work in phases. So we may work like in Six Sigma, we have define phase, we have got measure phase, we have got analyze phase, we've got improve phase, we've got control phase. So 5 different phases. You know what happens? We've got 5 process groups, right? So we have 5 process groups called initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and closing. So you know what happens in define phase? We do initiate the define phase, we plan the define phase, execute the define phase, monitor and control the define phase, and then we close the define phase. The phase is completed. Define phase gets completed. We have a review meeting with the sponsor here, and practically we'll say, okay, I'm satisfied with define phase. You can start the measure phase. Okay, we initiate the measure phase, we plan the measure phase, execute the measure phase, monitor and control, and close the define measure phase. Again, a review meeting. So we do all throughout. So we can split that work into phases. Well, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. That's how you got 5. In Six Sigma, we only have these 5 phases. So we work. You could be doing another project which could be split into phases, but they're all plan driven. You plan and you do it. So when you talk about these review meetings which happen at designated phases, they have a lot of names. Please keep this in mind. Phase gate is same. Governance gate is same. Kill points, toll gate, milestone reviews is also one of the milestones. So bottom line, you have different name. These are the designated period when you will have a review meeting with the sponsor and the champion here. So what do you do in this phases? That's what I say. Like you discuss, are you satisfied with the previous phase? Good job. Now you can close this previous phase and start the next one. So continue the next phase if there's modification done, or if things have gone so bad, or probably risk has come and it's no longer required, the project is no longer required, you can end the project also. Well, in phase, so you complete, say, hypothetical scenario. Things we were working on, it was going fine. At this stage, management changed. Some leadership team thing changed, and now the new management says, well, I don't know what the previous management was doing, why they were getting this project. Well, it's illogical. Let's close this project. It can be done. So at this stage, the projects can be closed also. So these phases are review meetings with the management. Do you review traceability metrics at the milestones? Traceability metrics is going to be constantly updated based on your work which is going on. They will be constantly updated because they will be linked with your project management tool. So as the work gets completed, it gets automatically updated. Can two phases run in parallel? Depends. Yes, you may run two phases in parallel also. Depends on the kind of work we're working on. So it's absolutely fine. It can be done in two phases also. You can do like one another. So you may be doing two phases at the same time. If it does not, so depends on the work we're doing. But yeah, we can do that. We can have two phases run in parallel. It's possible. In adaptive, we do releases. We know how it works. So adaptive part, we already know. Release 1, release 2, release 3. We have sprints at the end of each sprint, which is iteration or sprint are same thing. We have a review meeting with it, which is we call as demo. We already know that part. We get the feedback from which is during the demo, we get the feedback from the product owner, and then we start the next iteration. We know that part. At the end of each phase, we will have, in this term, we have to keep in mind, in case of predictive, we use this word called acceptance criteria, which is a quality checklist. Customer said every deliverable, this is done, this is done, this is done, this is done. That's done in predictive. In agile, we use called definition of done, which is same. But in agile, before a user story, you have to do a particular user story. Okay, this is it, this is it. So we'll have a discussion done. That's called definition of done. In agile, we call definition done. Predictive, we call it acceptance criteria. We will right now, let's park this word. We'll have to learn about two things, MVP and MBI, as we go to subsequent slides. When we get to that part, we'll study. Both will be required to we have to understand what is MVP and MBI. Very important to understand. We'll cover this element later. But all in all, that's what you create by doing the projects in Agile. You create an MVP or MBI, and we'll see actually a video also on MVP and MVPI. We'll talk about that then. All in all, I guess Diana has a question here. To summarize these phases, phase gates on every DMAC method you applies IPES method. Yeah, every phase. Yes, absolutely, Diana. Every phase you go and plan, because you got to start a phase. You got to plan for it. You got to execute it and see whether it's working. So all the same, all of it goes at the same time. You used to write about that. Every phase you will have like this entire cycle gets over in every cycle. So when you do a Six Sigma project, you become a lot of project management techniques get applied like 5 times. You in every phase you can complete the entire cycle. One Six Sigma project will make you a perfect predictive project manager. 5 times you end up doing everything in one single project. It is why it is good to learn Six Sigma. It gives you more control over how the project needs to be handled. 5 times you'll end up doing it, which is good. Okay, well, project compliance. Again, who does the compliance part? Hey, so my quality department could be there. Okay, just want to be sure that I'm not exceeding the time. Effect, yes, absolutely. That's how it works. Let me just quickly, 3 more minutes. Let me see a quick one if I have slides in here. Quickly see, let's talk about this. So compliances will be like internal compliances, external compliances, government compliances could be there, rules, guidelines, customer given compliances could be there. The product that you're manufacturing could be those, or services that you're delivering. So those compliances are basically the requirements, the quality metrics that we have to maintain. So all that has to be maintained. Who does that maintains? You will be doing that, because as a project manager, it's your job to ensure everything work as per the plan. And yes, there what comes into picture, your quality control team. So we'll talk about the difference between QA. Can anyone tell me the difference between QA and QC? Quick one. QA and QC. They're quality assurance, quality control. What is the difference between them? So because both will be responsible for ensuring these compliances are taken care of. Compliance, basically guidelines, rules, Some could be rules which are given by the government, by the customer. Internal one, product that you're making has some requirements. So every requirement which is compliance related, rules required, quality metrics related, they will be the one responsible for doing it. So what is QA and QC? Absolutely, yes, AJ. Things according to the standard. QA is involved in the implementation. Okay, please keep this in mind. This is process. This is product. Simple terms to keep in mind. Quality assurance ensures that the process is constantly working in accordance with the standard, in accordance to the customer requirement, and my process is delivering a good output. They're working on the process part. So they will ensure that the process is doing a good job and it's doing all that job as per what we, I will have to continuously fine tune my process to make sure it's in compliance with the customer requirement. Whether it was in compliance with customer requirement or not, that will be checked by quality. The audit will be done by, so when the output is created, so the quality assurance team believes that my process was controlled and was actually aligned with the customer. Was it or was it not, will be performed by quality control. So whenever you buy something in the market, like if I drive a bike and I go and buy a helmet I get it. If you pick up a helmet, it says QC tested, not QA tested. QC tested, why? It's a final outcome which was tested by the quality control. We'll say, never say QA tested. Everything that you buy will have a QC tested because that's the output which will be audited. It's good or bad. So they will only audit and say, well, it's good or bad. If they find a lot of errors, they will give the feedback to these people to fix this. So QA is about handling the process. QC will come into picture about auditing, so which is the final product. So they are responsible for the later part. So QC typically gets more powerful for auditing. Statistical sampling analysis will be done by them. Okay, let's quickly. Yes, absolutely. They will be working on the process throughout the production. QC will come in later. Perfect. Yes. Okay, going forward, given this, okay, I guess I've already exceeded 1 minute already. So let's do one thing. Let's take a break, and probably we'll need another 5 more minutes after the break to kind of complete this lesson number 1. Like, we'll get into lesson. This is just about overview, everything that we're going through. So let's connect in another 10 minutes. I hope, like my bad, not 10 minutes. I'm just trying to get used to this now stuff, which is focused on my time here. Okay, let's connect in 30 minutes from now, and we'll resume in 30 minutes. Things which your job is to manage at a project level, but typically at an organization level, because they are the one governing the project's entire body. Technically, they will be looking at what may be impacting the project. Could be some external risk factors which could impact all the projects. So that's what they would be keeping an eye on. Probably government regulations happening and whatever or as an organization they have to comply with. And apart from that, yes, the basically all those conditions. Specifically talking about, when we talk about PMO, we're not talking about an individual client, but this is more about those external factors, specifically the government regulation, like environmental clause we have to follow, and all those things which will be there, like labor related stuff we have to follow. So those things will be sort of addressed by the PMO as a project, because within that organization there could be multiple projects carried out, multiple project managers. We are responsible to do that job of quality assessment. So we'll be doing that for the product and delivered. So acceptance criteria we'll be working on, and this whatever acceptance criteria we have, we will be working on that. And yes, you will remember you have to onboard vendor. Like when you onboard vendors, you will have to give them the work. Like practically when they do the job, you have to ensure that the work done by them is satisfactory, because you have to release them. So if the vendor has done the job, the quality control team will audit it and say, okay, I'm satisfied. This becomes a verified deliverable. Then it will be audited by the customer. Customer says, okay, I'm satisfied. Then it becomes an accepted deliverable. So that quality audit will happen during the projects, and that's where. So you will be required to kind of handle a lot of lot of aspects of the process related to compliances, rules, guidelines, which are like mandated by the government, could be mandated by the client, could be internal one, and some could be product related. So, okay, difference between projects. See, when you talk about, okay, we'll be going and we'll be talking about 2 different things. Oh, my bad. Quick one. Let's go back here. Okay. Now we will, as we go forward, we'll see two different things when we, like in subsequent slides. There will be something called a project life cycle. We'll see that. There will be a slide which will come in. Project life cycle and a product life cycle. We'll see that, and that's we'll be able to kind of understand what is difference between them. But all in all, let's kind of high level, we can definitely talk about right away. We'll see that thing coming into picture. Project life cycle will be different in every industry, like depending on what industry you're working on, your project life cycle will be different because it will completely depend on the kind of work we're doing. Because if I'm doing a construction work, my project life cycle will be a different one, because in a construction work, I will do, first of all, the excavation one. So that will be my first thing which I will be doing is excavation. That's the project life cycle, how project will start and end in construction. Excavation, then you do the structure work. When you complete the structure, when this job is done, you do probably the services. When you do the services, you do the finishing, then you do the handover and all the external, the like service, then you do external, internal, whatever, some extra stuff is done. So this is how a typical construction project life cycle will go through. So, and when you're talking about a software development, when you're dealing with software stuff, the life cycle will be different. You look at high level, like basically you do a feasibility study. So high level design, low level design, pretty much you do the design, like basically you go and finalize the design, you do the development. After development is done, you do the testing, do the debugging, pretty much you do the handover. Bottom line, the process is different because you're doing a different job. So industry to industry, project life cycle will change. It doesn't matter what industry you're talking about, this will always remain same. Product life cycle is going to be 100% same for every scenario. Well, as we go through subsequent slide, we'll see that. But let me kind of explain what is a product life cycle. A product which is launched, doesn't matter what industry you're from. When you launch a product in the market, could be software, could be actually like a physical product. It always has the same life cycle, product life cycle. You always have the first life cycle of product is initiate. Like you initiate, basically more of you can call it as launch. You launch it. LAUNCH. Okay, launch. You launch the product. That is a product, the first phase of product life cycle. When you launch it, then it'll go through a growth stage. It will pick up in the market. That's a growth stage will come in. Then there will be a maturity stage. It'll get matured, reach its peak, and then there will be recall. Basically, you kind of pull it back. So every product will always go through these distinct phases. It doesn't matter what you do. Well, you are designing, developing a car, practice, or you're doing a software, it doesn't matter. Although the project life cycle will be different in the case of a website designing development or software design development versus a car manufacturing. But you will see the life cycle will be same. When you want to launch this, you can launch this product or with the help of A, predictive life cycle, B, agile, or for the third matter, like you can do a hybrid. So I can, when I'm doing a product life cycle, this launch for the first stage, I can do it, and my project method could be different, but I'm still launching it. In the growth stage, when I want to kind of go ahead and with the project, like it's launched in the market, it's picking up. So I may do a project here. I may do another project here. I may do another project here. So these are projects, probably improvements are happening, more projects. So this could be predictive, this could be predictive, this could be agile. It's okay. So when I'm trying to do projects during growth, I'm trying to gain more and more improvisation in my product. It's getting better. Then it reaches its peak. And then pretty much, while here it's sort of stabilized, it's not picking up more. Probably it has reached a maximum. Then it starts pulling down, going down. So that's the time when people stop using this. So companies will start another cycle. The moment they say it has reached peak, and now all projects done are not helping me pick it up. That means it's about to go. Now it's the time to say goodbye. The companies will initiate another project here. Another product life cycle will go through. So it will always move. So once one project is, there will be projects done to recall it. And by the time I see it's reached maturity, company will initiate another product life cycle. So by the time it's picking up, one is going down. So that's how it will go always. So product life cycle will always be same. iPhone does every year iPhone does all this stuff. Launch, growth, maturity. And then you see the iPhone will slowly, steadily start like pulling those and will stop obviously the production, but they'll stop giving you services for that. They start supporting those iPhones, the older ones. So it's always worked this way. So every doesn't matter. And some of those projects could be predictive, could be agile, could be hybrid. So we'll see all this stuff but a high level, I hope it's okay and clear. Project life cycles are different for every industry, depending on what you're doing. But product life cycle will be same. You always launch, there's a growth phase, there's a maturity phase, and there's a decline phase there. Always there. Is it okay? Quick check on this one. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and talk about the next element. Will be any which is seeing those slides will come in picture. Okay, we already talked about this, but just quickly, legal requirements, government, based on law of the land, it varies. The kind of job you're doing, that will also decide the kind of regulatory legal issues. So requirement based on the kind of job, like healthcare industry, lots and lots of plenty of requirement healthcare industry, government norms. It's a sensitive thing. We can't just kind of do like pharmaceutical industry. There's lots of them, depending on what are you doing. There could be oil refineries. There's a lot of risk there. So there will be a lot of practices. Depending on what are you doing, you will have a lot of requirements. There could be government, like global standards, like in case of IT world, you've got data centers and all. Privacy laws are there. And specific countries have a lot of them, like US. They are absolutely insane privacy laws. And well, they're good, by the way, but they're very robust. And again, sensitive information, bottom line, customer information cannot be. So all those are like data protection laws will be there. And you have to comply with that, given the job you're doing. And is there a quality, like a standard method? No. Company, project to project, quality the definition will change because customer defines the quality. Every time I have a different customer, my quality standards will change because I cannot deliver what I feel like. I have to deliver what the customer demands. So quality is defined by the customer and not by me. I can always have some internal policies, but that I will keep maintaining. Government regulation, they will by default be same. The things which are defined by the customer, the acceptance criteria, that will be defined by the customer. So, well, we can always ensure that we have to ensure that my process is customized to meet those requirements of the customer. So all these are compliance requirements here, all in all. Basic stuff. Okay. Is it similar to voice of 100%, Diana? You are absolutely correct. Voice of customer. You're right about that. So, while we talk about like bottom line, if you don't capture these requirements, you will always get into trouble. Why? Because you not meet those requirements, something could come and haunt you because then there'll be violation, and so it will be bad if it's a regulatory violation, something has gone out wrong. The company can be shut down. So while we do a lot of risk management, we do like identification of risk, we have a complete structure of risk management. So we are okay with that. So we will be performing quality audits. That will be done by the quality control team by default. So we will be looking into all those legal. So who will give you the legal aspects? The legal team will give it to you. Well, bottom line, that will be part of, if the regulatory compliances, that will be also given. Bottom line, anything which is to do with legalities, that you may not be expert of legality. So the legal team of your, they will be providing all those parameters which are critical to your industry and the kind of job we're doing. We'll get those requirements. We'll have to ensure that they are always kept into mind. So quality control team, quality assurance team will be aware of them. So they will ensure that we don't make any mistakes which are legal or regulatory, because then pretty much there will be like huge repercussions. So that we will be always looking at the compliances while we are transferring the project. It's like bottom line, when you're doing a job, say I've designed and developed a software. If it stays within my company, it's not done. Well, I have to deploy this software at the customer like a server. So the deployment, when you're doing it, well, there could be certain requirements like compliances related to the deployment. What could be the procedure? What all we have to follow? So the checklist, which has to be kept into mind, that has to be agreed and negotiated upon. So even that, because I may have designed, I'm already an IT company, I'm well versed with how the software works. But when I'm going to develop and transfer the software, what if the customer server is not compatible with it? So all those requirements will be discussed with the customer. Well, when we're going to transition that, it's quite possible. So we call it as decommissioning of, like say if the customer is getting the software designed and developed, which is it's new for the first time, they don't have an existing software, then I need to teach them basically and tell them, for you to run this software, you must have this kind of server with this kind of capacity and all that. Basically, I'll have to set this up for the customer. Well, that's one scenario. be like another scenario is where I already have the customer already have a software, but it's an old, not too good one, and that's why they are getting a new one designed. So it's going to be an upgrade or updated one. Big question when I will transfer this. Well, you're going to take this server, whatever the infrastructure out. That we call as decommissioning. So you got to remove the old items, and you'll like do that job, like you'll of putting your there. So whose job is to decommission this? Well, do you expect me to remove your older stuff here and then put my, or you will have another vendor do that job? So all that part will be discussed, because who is supposed to do that? If you already have an existing setup and framework, who's going to decommission that? So like practically I can do it, then I'll bill you for that. If somebody else is going to do it, let them do it. So practically then it's not my scope. Somebody else has to do it. We will discuss all those requirements related to transfer. Now, while we talk about risk register, if you remember that risk register is all about positive, negative, both. But if a negative risk turns into reality, we call that issue. An issue, we have issue log. A separate log. Issue is all about a negative risk which has turned into reality. So when you have a risk register created, you'll have risk identified, who's responsible. We will do a qualitative analysis and what will be the plan. So it's all about risk management. High level, again, everything that we'll cover. It's all about high level description of everything we have in subsequent slides. They all just merge different components together. Well, you'll see these things happening in different slides. Because we talk about risk also, we talk about compliances also. We talk about a lot of things in one place. It's just about summary here. Just good to know. And which is we know like a flow of it. So it'll be good to kind of know. And in which is this will be detailed as we move forward. Last thing here, before we get to the actual project journey here. So a best practice, whenever we talk about best practices to follow compliance and to ensure the compliance are taken care of, documentation. Well, what is not documented is not done. Well, if people, I'm not an ISO guy. I don't have any ISO certification with me. Somehow it doesn't make sense, like somehow it doesn't click with me, ISO. But what I pretty much understand, people already have ISO knowledge, can verify if this is correct. ISO never mandates it. There's nothing called a mandate coming from ISO. ISO, as per my opinion, says, well, like you've got to decide what kind of practices you'll be following. So decide the practices, what you're going to be following, document those practices that whatever you've decided, you must document them. And what you've documented, you must follow them. And when you follow them, you must have evidence that this was followed. So it doesn't tell you what to do. So whatever you want to decide it. What you decide, document, and what you document, you follow. And if you follow, you should have evidence that it was followed. That's what I guess how the ISO framework works. So documentation, come what may, do whatever you want. Just verbal conversation will not have. It has to have documentation. And so we do by default. Risk register is created. Compliance in like in-depth risk analysis happens. So pretty good. Bottom line, we do have to do risk planning. We do that risk register. Ideally, we'll have a compliance council, some sort of quality people, audit people. So there is a separate department. We could have like people who coming from legal team, people who will be quality auditors, people will be, and there is a team which is called compliance, because I have been a part of compliance. So bottom line, like we talk about, there are different teams, compliance, quality, and audit. Well, honestly, in most of the companies, there's one department called simply quality. So there are a lot of departments here, legal, we've got audits, and they are all different departments. Companies save money and they call it quality. There's one department follows, and yeah, legal stuff will be handled by the legal team, but barring that, everything else is handled by the quality team, which is not a right practice, and which is bottom line. So quality is supposed, like this is talking about quality assurance team, quality control team, that's also put into one group. And unfortunately, not a good practice, but ideally, we should have a compliance council, which consists of all different kind of people. Technically, these people will be required. They are looking into only like compliances violations. They are responsible ensuring that the process stays in control. They'll be doing audit, but like job rule is different. Audits is supposed to go and just follow a checklist and do the audits as per the rules. Bottom line, there are different purposes of every department here. But again, we can all club and we expect one person to do all the job. And there are like generally that's a practice for most of the companies. They always merge and call it as quality department. Not so good practice, any which is. So you should have a separate department which is going to look into the legal aspect and technical aspects. People from quality domain, audit specialists, some completely calm. That means you should have a department, a group of people who will be looking into all these aspects here. perform the audits, and again, ensure that this is one thing which have to be kept in mind. Like compliance stewardship is more about a mindset that, well, it's everyone's job. Well, I know there is sort of people who are responsible for managing quality, but it's everyone's job. You see somebody doing wrong, well, you must raise the voice. It's like we always call it whistleblower policy. You should do that. Bottom line, it's not just one guy's job. I know, okay, some of my, like, I like I'm working with an industry where this is customer data is available. And I get to know somebody is probably stealing data and probably misusing data, customer data. Well, I'm not the quality guy, but am I supposed to go and highlight that? Yes, it's everyone's job. Bottom line, do the right things. It's wrong to steal customer data, and that's what. So it is more about you got to have that culture created, people be appreciated, but informed that this is everyone's job. It's not. We do have a department which is going to do, but it's the job of compliance department is not policing. You're not supposed to do policing. It's more about ensuring that the best practices are followed. So people, and like we have to, it's more about the servant leadership kind of quality. We want people to understand it's our job too. It's not just one department supposed to do it. All in all, best practices, nothing to kind of remember in terms of sequence and topic. Bottom line, good practices. If you understand them, we're good with it. NHS, that's a end of the overview stuff we have. First part is all about just knowing the business metrics. So related to business aspects, business acumen, whatever you've talked about in this lesson number 1, it's all in there. That's it. High level. It talks about all the high level stuff, which is whatever is applicable now from a project management perspective, will start getting detailed from lesson number 2. Now, is it okay and clear with everyone? Quick check, basic elements there, but again, very generic one, but I still want to be sure. Lesson number 1, we are done then. Let's kind of check lesson number 2. This is where the project will actually get started. Like so, not the project management plan. Remember, first is initiation. You do initiation, then you do planning. So we'll just talk about lesson number 2 is where we start the initiation part. You had only 2 things. Remember the Excel template, we had 2 processes. One, we had to the project charter. Second, we had the identification of stakeholder. Yes, Ma, please go ahead.
So this lesson number 1, like how you said, it's the high level content with regards to the actual project manager's profile. It starts with chapter number 2. But the kind of questions that will be coming, a little bit of idea if we can have exactly.
I have already shared those sample questions, right?
Yeah.
Everyone, that's the kind of question you can expect from lesson, because it tells you based on the segment wise what kind of questions are there. And even if when you go back to the basically see all the topics, the only topics which are all these topics will be, because they're all bullet points. You see, they're all bullet points here because all these are the topics which will be explained, but the ones which are not going to get covered, like which in the subsequent slide, are the initial part: definition of a project, definition of portfolio, program. We should know what is this, the business calculation metrics, which we talk about, the net present value, opportunity cost. All those elements will not be repeated again. So all rest of it, like compliance, quality, and all that, because that's the part of what you will be doing. So initial discussion, what is a benefits management plan? That all will be related to the 8% documentation we're talking about, because the rest of the topics will by default be covered. But initial part is like whatever we had initial discussion. There we have got different kind of project management offices. What kind of offices we have? Apart from that, the kind of organization we have got functional one, matrix one, and you've got the one which we have like a only projectized one. So that kind of thing which will be covered in the 8%. And rest overview, which is because we had gone through overview list, but the rest of the overview part is all going to be covered in lesson 2 to lesson 6.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
But do try those questions, because those are phase-wise questions and those are PMI questions, not created by me. So the PMI questions, do check them out.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Perfect. Let's quickly have a look at, so the Excel sheet that we had, please, I'm just going to go back and quickly just refer to this one. The predictive life cycle starts from here. The documentation we have gone through. The reason why I wanted to spend that time, because this is what we'll be going through. So initiation, the starting the project is these 2. The heavyweight part, our majority of training part will end here, because that's the heavyweight part. And then rest is nothing. Honestly, rest is with no time at all. So initiation phase, we have got 2 only, project charter and the identification of stakeholder. Let's go through it. So I'm closing this, nothing in here. We just wanted to make sure what is lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, my bad. Let's go and talk about it. So high level, at least let me give you high level idea. That's all the topics we will be covering in lesson number 2, which is initiation part. So we have to identify and engage the stakeholder. So remember, identification of stakeholder was the one of the process. We talk about identifying stakeholder. How do you engage with stakeholder? Well, please, if you recall the conversation I had, the only 2 ways you engage with stakeholder. A, you communicate with them. So whenever you talk about stakeholder, you'll always talk about communication management plan. Communication management plan all the time. Whenever there's only 2 ways you can engage with stakeholders, to have good, crystal clear, very transparent communication, to understand stakeholders, customer, like this communication requirements is very important. And then be involved in decision making. If you don't want, still, well, I already know what I'm going to do, but I just want to tell, okay, this is what I've decided. I think this is how it will work, but I would like to take your opinion. Even if you don't want, well, just involve them in this. That's how you engage with stakeholders. We'll see all of it. You will start a project. You will create a team charter. So team charter will be created. When the project charter is approved, first job is to create a team charter. Well, just give me 1 quick second. I'll just explain the stakeholder here. Build the shared understanding. What it simply means, share what you got. Do not try to hide things. It's a transparent process. Well, bottom line, share what you have. What? Project charter. Don't try to keep it as secret information. It's like, well, there's nothing to hide. Just share it. Let people see, well, have a clarity, well, what we're working on. Determine the approach is all about predictive, agile, and hybrid. That's just going to talk about what is difference between them. That's all what we will be seeing here. Okay, quick one question about stakeholder. Stakeholder is anyone who is doing the job in the project, anyone. So if I talk about anyone, means everyone. Everyone in the project is a stakeholder. And anyone who's also getting impacted by the project outcome, positive impact or negative impact. Everyone is a stakeholder. So when I say if there's a construction going on, all the sponsor is stakeholder, project manager is stakeholder, project team member is a stakeholder, the vendors, the contractors, the laborers, everyone is a stakeholder. Apart from that, who is also a stakeholder? The government authorities who have given the approvals. Everyone is a stakeholder. Everyone who's getting impacted by the project or not, or probably positive or negative impact will be a stakeholder. So everyone is a stakeholder. Okay. So I guess, Mr. Mohammed, this is clear. Stakeholder is everyone and there's a question here. Prior start the project, a project quality plan must be approved by the company. That is already there. Like that's what, Sonny, we'll talk about the initial project quality. That's the discussion which has already happened. Your project won't start before that, right? So initially, the discussion that was talking about, the initial plan of discussion, which was happening, the feasibility study, that is what we're referring to, project quality plan. But basically, it is filtered and that's how the project will get started. Let's see. Starting, engage the stakeholders. Let's see, talk about what is stakeholder here. So what is a stakeholder? Everyone is a stakeholder here. End users, customers, employees, organization managers, sponsors, business partners. When we say business partners, we are referring to people in business development. So people who get the business from the company. So generally people in the business development are referred as business partners. Suppliers, contractors, government, and community, all of it. Bottom line goes back to the same definition. Anyone who's actively involved in the project or being impacted by the project positively or negatively. Please keep this in mind. This terminology is very important. This process of finding stakeholder, identifying stakeholder is an iterative process. Please keep this in mind. Iterative process. What do you mean by iterative process? We repeat, and this keeps on repeating. So we keep on repeating. It's not a one-time activity. Right now, we're doing this job in the initiation. It's just going to be done in initiation? No. It'll happen in entire project. Will you identify stakeholder initiation? Yes, that's what we have written. In the first part, we have project charter and we have identifying stakeholder. Do we identify stakeholder in initiation? The answer is yes. Do we identify stakeholder in planning? Yes. Do we do it in execution? The answer is yes. In monitoring controlling? Yes. Closing? Yes. And we'll see an example of that. Bottom line, it's an iterative. We are documenting here, but it's going to be repeated in every phase. So it's an iterative process. You can't say that I'm done. You will have new stakeholders every time. Let's see. So these are the things which we'll be covering. It's an overview, a checklist that we'll be covering in the stakeholder part. So how a stakeholder register looks like, all it's a part of our documentation we have done. Stakeholder register, how will you engage with it? This is a plan, stakeholder management plan. How will you engage? What does the company policy says? How to engage with stakeholder, methods, procedures. That's been documented, and pretty much that's how the company procedure tells you how to engage with a stakeholder, how to prepare communication. So when you say plan, these are not activities. These are set of guidelines or rules which tells you how to do that. That's described in the company. So what are the methods to identify, to communicate with stakeholder? What will be the frequency? How you should prepare it? What kind of format? All the plan, when you say, it's a documentation which tells you rules, guidelines. That's it. So, well, whenever you talk about stakeholder, the only way you can manage stakeholder is to communicate. We'll always be together. They always will be together. How do you do that? By doing a stakeholder engagement assessment matrix. Remember, in the discussion, we had the discussion that we'll have to assess the stakeholder. Is the stakeholder neutral? Is the stakeholder resistor? Is the stakeholder promoter? Is the stakeholder leading? Bottom line, is the stakeholder unaware? We'll see a sample of that. Steam stakeholder engagement assessment matrix. I need to know what kind of stakeholder is this person. Is this stakeholder happy about my project? Is the stakeholder not happy about my project? Is the stakeholder have no idea about my project? I need to know the stakeholder, and then accordingly, I will be able to plan. If I know the stakeholder who's unaware, who's no idea, I have to communicate more. I have to give this stakeholder more details so that this becomes knowledgeable. If the stakeholder is not happy with it, I need to know why. So for that, I have to plan a different kind of communication. So knowing the stakeholder is important to plan the communication. And if I plan the communication well, I will be able to manage stakeholder. They're all interlinked. And very important one, assessment models. We'll be seeing shortly how when I'm doing this assessment of knowing a particular stakeholder, there can be some methods adopted. Good to know. Well, I will just at least one of them is very, very good and very logical approach of knowing the stakeholder. Let's talk about that. This is just a high level details. Well, stakeholder identification. Where will you do it? Where will you do it? Basically, you just started the project, right? So we'll have a project charter written already, a business case. Will we find stakeholders there? Why not? Who's the beneficiary of the stakeholder? This project is being done. Somebody will be benefiting from it. So I'll find some stakeholders in the business case, in the benefits management plan. Remember the benefits management plan, the additional add-on benefits the company will still get. So I'll get to know who all will be benefiting from this. That's also stakeholder. While I said it's an iterative process, you don't do it once, because as the project is going on, would you face issues, problem? Yes. Will there be issue log created? Yes. Bottom line, you'll find some stakeholders there. Impediment word is used in Agile. Instead of issue, we call impediment. In Agile, you'll have impediments log. Whenever change request will be documented, there will be change requests. Again, you'll have some more people identified there who are related to change, and they will be stakeholders. Requirement documents. Remember requirement traceability matrix, requirement documents. That's where you'll also find some more stakeholders. You will keep finding them throughout the project. It's not over. As you find them, just update them in the stakeholder register. So while you want to identify who all are stakeholder, you also want to understand the impact on the project. Bottom line, I want to know the interest. Well, how interested are they with the project? How much involved their project? Well, are they passive stakeholders, or they're actually involved in the project? Well, that I want to understand. I want to know the interdependencies between stakeholder. Probably one of my stakeholder A, stakeholder B, these guys, so probably this guy who's working here who's been picked up for my project happens to be some relative of somebody in the senior management. Well, I need to know the dependencies between them. Bottom line, there can be a lot of stakeholders. I may want to understand if there are internal dependencies within those stakeholders. I need to understand the impact they can make on the project. Well, what is the potential impact they have on the project? Influence is more about authority-related stuff. And then pretty much how much of actually change they are, how much of they're influencing and how much impact they can make. This will come with designation. This is pretty much what designation do I carry and how much am I influencing? It's quite possible I may be trying to influence. I have less authority, but I'm the one who always gets into your meeting and spoils your meeting. Am I influencing? Yes. There are people like that. Compliance, legal, 100%, all are. Everyone involved in the project, as said, everyone will be there. So you will be always having stakeholders like that. Bottom line, I will need to know what kind of stakeholder, what I want from this stakeholder and what this stakeholder wants or expects from me by doing this project. So bottom line, I need to understand in order to plan and engage with them. I need to know their interests and my interests with them so I can plan the communication well. It says identify and engage the stakeholders early to avoid surprises, because they can be surprises. Let's talk about it. Let's do a quick check with this one. Let's talk about so remember I said iterative process. Please help me. I'll keep on watching out this chat messages, and you help me with the stakeholders now. Initiation phase. I'm trying to construct a house. Initiation phase. I will have some stake. I'm say one of my friend happens to be my sponsor. I'm into construction, so he asked me, Shashi, can you get this house? I have been planning to have this house, so can you do this? I said, okay, why not? I've been constructing house for so many people. You, my friend, why can't I do it? Right. So in the initiation phase, we will have to identify a stakeholder. Who's going to be stakeholder for me in the initiation part? The sponsor himself. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Probably the wife of the sponsor also, because even he or even she would have some bit of input. What kind of house, how many houses? The friend. So my friend is who the sponsor here. The wife, and probably the kids also. Probably kids may have their requirement that probably now the girls girl child. I've heard about that because I do have a girl child. There's a BTS. I don't know how many of us have a girl child here. BTS will do. How many of us do recognize the BTS thing? Well, it's the Korean pop, I guess, pop band which does that music band. Yeah. So, I guess kids, but again, technically, the kids may have their requirements. They would want to have there's a girl child that she may want to have a room designed with a theme of BTS. So God knows what not. Bottom line, they are the stakeholders for me in the initiation phase. When you want to have a discussion, you're giving me your requirements. I'm trying to understand. Practically, that's the initiation phase. All good, job done. Pretty much, we're fine with. We move to planning. Now in the planning phase, I have to get the job done. So first of all, my team will be definitely. I'm just going to involve my team for now. And apart from that, in this part, we will have the contractors, suppliers. Because we will be looking at procurement also. Suppliers, vendors, contractors will be a part of this, which will the government. Yes, absolutely. Government will come into picture here. And the people will be, remember the planning part, like the scope management plan, schedule plan, cost plan, risk, and all that. So all the people required to create those plans will be my stakeholder. So I'll have to get some approvals, and all that part will be part of my stakeholder. Job done. We're ready for plan. Construction must go on. Execution is going on. During execution, everything is working absolutely fine. Now what happened? My neighbor, that means not my neighbor, but my friend's neighbor, while the construction is going on, she comes in after say 15 days has gone by, construction is going on. She says, comes by and tells me, I'm the construction guy. So she tells me that Mr. So-and-so, whosoever you are, you got to stop the construction for next 15 days. My kids are having their exam, and you guys make a lot of noise. They're not able to focus on the study. Do you think the neighbor is a stakeholder? She has nothing to do with the house, right? She has nothing to do with the house. But she is getting impacted by the outcome of the project. Yes, the neighbor is a stakeholder. Neighbor is a stakeholder. Why? Because she is getting negatively impacted by the project. And yes, what if I say no to her? Well, I'm just trying to be a devil's advocate. If I say she needs, definitely, and during execution, I said it will come. During execution, we found that neighbor just walked in and said, guys, you got to stop it. And I said, I can't take this decision on my own. I have to check with my friend who's the sponsor and let him know that you have a problem. Let's say, I don't want to hear your stories. If you don't stop this right now, I'm going to call police. Do you think police will also be a stakeholder now? Is police going to be a stakeholder? Yeah. If she involves the police is also going to become a stakeholder. Yes. Well, somehow we were able to loop in the sponsor, and the problem got sort of taken care of for now. Execution was going on while work is going on. Remember, we said monitoring and controlling happens at the same time. So you don't do separately. While the work is going on, you're also monitoring at the same time. Is it working as per my plan? Are we ahead of time? Are we behind time? Are we spending more money or spending less money? We'll always be talking about that. So while we monitored this, we found that we are behind by 15 days. Example, we're behind by 15 days. So I thought that, the only way to do is to solve this is to get more people. So let's get another vendor from outside who will be able to add more people, and practically this vendor will be able to subcontract. So get more people in, and Do you think these new people that I've added during this execution by monitoring and controlling, they will also become my stakeholder? New set of vendor, contractors, laborers, yes. Well, all said and done, I was a good project manager. It's a controlling. The closing part has come into picture. Last phase. We call it a snag list, snag check, snag list. What people from construction? What do you call it? Snag list, right? Snag list or snag check. What do we call this? I'm not the construction guy, so people from construction snag list. We check it like final before you deliver. You check certain things. Well, it's good or bad, like minor adjustments. Do we call it snag list? Okay, snag list. Thank you, Mr. Khan for so punch list also okay. So basically, I said to the sponsor, we're ready. The house is ready to be delivered, and why don't you come and check? Well, as per your requirement, we have delivered this house. It's all within time. So let's start with this. Like you can have. And while for the first time, I saw the mother of my friend. Now, my understanding is all about these people, and she is very, very religious lady, and she gets into the house. She's very happy to see that finally his son. He was always into a rental house. Now he's got into his own house. So she was very happy about that, and she's roaming around in the house, looking at all that house, and she is trying to find a place to worship, a dedicated place, or probably a room where she can sit down and pray. And she could not find one because there was never a discussion about that. We had so now she would come and she asked me that, okay, I couldn't find the place to worship. Where is that? I said, no, ma'am. Again, pretty much there was never in the plan. And that's a problem. So do you think that she becomes a negative stakeholder now? She becomes a stakeholder. It's the ending phase. She becomes a stakeholder. Yeah. Then I go and tell the sponsor, well, buddy, it was never a part of the plan. He says, yes, sorry, it's my miss. It's my miss. And can you look into it and see if we can move some walls here and there and just influential, by the way, yes, absolutely. She's got a lot of power. So our new requirement scope has changed. Remember the baseline? It's a baseline. Baseline has been violated now. And the sponsor wants you to add new requirements and find some area where at least we can have small area created for at least place of worship. And I said, well, that there'll be cost for this. He said, I have to bear it, no problem. But bottom line, you need to get it done. So now the scope has again been revised and a baseline has been changed. Customer will pay for it. So bottom line, the entire journey was all about telling that although we document and start this in the initiation phase, identifying stakeholders, an iterative process. And that's what it. Identify and engage stakeholders early to avoid surprises in the project later, because you will have troubles there. I hope it's clear to everyone. Iterative process and stakeholder part. Quick one. Perfect. Let's check this out. Some bit of methods. What can you do? What can you adopt to identify the stakeholders? So please keep this in mind whenever you have a question, anytime about collecting information from various stakeholders globally, geographically distributed team, large teams. The answer, when you say global as a word, global, or for that matter, geographically distributed, that means you've got people across the world, it's not working together, or for that matter, large teams, the answer to all these questions will be always questionnaires and survey, always. Scope, cost, and schedule can change. Yes, by change request only. Yeah, only by change request. So whenever we talk about large teams, it will always be this questionnaires and surveys, because there's no way to kind of deal with so many people at the same time. So the best answer to that question, whenever we talk about global audience, geographically distributed audience, large teams, always the first and preferred answer will always be a questionnaire and survey. When you got to smaller teams, you can always have a brainstorming together, sit with them, have a discussion. That's the way to deal with it. You gather information, collect information through these methods. Now what you do data analysis. Whatever data you've collected, so based on your inputs, the survey data you collected, you can analyze the requirements, the stakeholders based on what they have mentioned in the survey. You can understand what are the interests, how much involved they are, the things that we're talking about. The stakeholder assessment has to be done. You have to understand how involved they are, what is the authority level, basically what kind of requirement they have. While you collect a survey, you try to understand the stakeholder, what kind of responses they have given. I'll try to understand the stakeholder. That will help me to ensure I can plan well for the stakeholder. And again, it tells me to understand that can be done as document analysis. What do I call as document analysis here? There's one document I'm referring to here. What document we are referring to here for analyzing stakeholder? A document analysis. OPA, thank you. Thank you. You got it right. OPA. Historical projects, go back and check if these stakeholders were the one, like you get to know how they reacted for the previous project manager. Well, if there are the same set of people, try to go and see what kind of feedback in the lessons learned document, how miserable they made life for the previous project manager. You get to know, you get to understand the kind of person I'm dealing with. And then there are better models for you to, but at least they'll give you some idea what kind of person I'm going to deal with, because they have been a very, very supportive stakeholder, or this guy has been a very negative stakeholder. We will be able to have an understanding because somebody has documented that experience. But for us, we will also be doing on top of it our bit of analysis, and that can be represented through 4 different methods here. It says 2D dimensions, 2 dimensions, which is could be power, interest, power, influence, impact, influence. We have got, you can customize your own. Bottom line, there are two dimensions used for analyzing the stakeholder, and we'll see a sample example of that. 3D is rarely used. Rarely you need a software to do the 3D model. So like when we talk about 2D, will be always 2D. We can use 2 verticals. This is say power, and this is interest. We'll see a sample example of that also. Power interest model. I can rate my stakeholders whether you have, like here it's like low power, high power. Low interest, high interest. I can say people who have low power and low interest, how do you handle them? People who have low power and high interest, how you handle them? People with high power and low interest, how do you handle them? People with high power, high interest, how you do handle? That's 2D model. That can be done for stakeholders. Well, 3D model, bottom line, we should know what they are. That's it. But again, you need a software. You need like nobody. Really, I don't think people are very comfortably using, because 3D models becomes complex. But again, this is our 3D model. I can create a 3D model, not so good, honestly, but anyway, that's my cube. What we have got, this is a power, interest, and that's say probably involvement is the vertical one. This is involvement. So I'll say low power, high power, low interest, high interest, low involvement, high involvement. And we can use this 3D model to like tag a particular stakeholder who is low power, who has got low interest and high involvement or whatever. So we can list those stakeholders on these points. Well, which stakeholder falls on which criteria. Using 3 criteria, that's it. All we are using is 3 criteria. You can customize your criteria. Salience model is more about a Venn diagram. So I'm like, we are in our schooling days, we must have all done a Venn diagram. This is Venn diagram, overlapping area. So, well, we talk about 3 different criteria. Again, the same power, your interest and influence, sort of thing. So you can create own you. So, and you see which has say this is say influence subsets. Yeah, absolutely influence. So we'll see which has a bigger overlap. This has got a bigger overlap. As this stakeholder's higher influence on the project. Bottom line, you customize yourself and you can create this Venn subsets, sets and subsets. Absolutely. So we call them Venn diagram. So Venn diagrams are used to present this salience model. Out of all these, honestly, see the power interest model, 2D models are good. They're good ones. Makes logical sense to use them. This one is very, very interesting and very important. I would recommend using this one definitely. Yes. Direction of influence. It says, pick up a stakeholder. Say you are trying to understand the kind of person this person is. So I can also plan my strategies with this guy. So before I start planning a strategy, I need to know what kind of person I'm dealing with. So very, very good one, direction of influence. I need to understand 4 directions. Say this is Mr. X, and that's my stakeholder. I want to know when this guy, and I would observe when this guy interacts with the leadership team. That's the leadership team. So what kind of tone this guy has? Tone, the way I speak with them, they very polite, very professional by default. So this is called upward interactions, how this guy is doing. Generally, everyone will have very polite, very sophisticated kind of thing. Now we also see the same guy dealing with the teams. but like juniors, I'll say this is downward in designation, like they're a little downward. So I need to understand now, is the tone changing? My tone automatically becomes very rude. If that's the case, then this guy is not good enough. Honestly, this guy is very deceptive. Well, why would you change as a person depending on the designation of somebody? You've been very deceptive. Then you're very selective. Okay, somebody very senior up. Okay, I'm sorry, sir. So for everything you have a sorry. Oh, I will do it. I will do it. But and then you start misbehaving, treating ill your subordinates. It's bad. So this kind of person is not good enough. Apart from that, I will also do sideways. This is sideways. This is with peers, other people who are your other project managers within the organization. Well, bottom line, we should have very trust. Why should I be scared about them? People get scared that they are reluctant to share information. What if this guy gets to know? Well, am I having a transparent relationship or I'm trying to hide things? It's not good. Well, bottom line, what are you trying to escape? It should be like a very positive environment. Well, I should share my best practices with you. I will learn from you. So how good are you as a team when you talk about peers? This is we call as sideways. I need to understand what kind of behavior this guy has with the sideways team. And then we look at outwards. Outwards is when we talk about vendors, suppliers, contractors. So outside who have been a part of the project team now, but they're not in the company. So I will try to understand the behavior of a person in these 4 dimensions to understand the tone. Tone is very important because if my tone fluctuates, the way I talk to different people, it adjusts it accordingly. Like ideally, bottom line, what I'm looking at, you must maintain. You should be the same person. But if you're very deceptive, then you will be keeping a different tone for different set of people. Tone is not right. The tone is something we people always remember the way you treat them. Well, what you said, probably they will forget. But how you said it, they will always remember it. So tone matters a lot. How you say things, absolutely. Same thing can be said in a different way. I'll mean differently. So it's very important to keep in mind. Yeah, people might have, see, in OPA, people might have documented, like, because you would have documented the interactions with them. You may have documented the assessment in the risk register. No, not in my bad, in stakeholder register. When you identify stakeholder, you will create a stakeholder register where you will be you'll be documenting the assessment. Well, what kind of stakeholder is this person? Neutral, promoter, leading, supporting, that kind of thing. So, and people could have documented a lot of things in experiences. So yes, that can also be captured in there. So, but you don't write negative things. You don't write, because this is a public document. This is a public document. It can be accessed by anyone, including that person. So we do not write any derogatory word. Writing somebody as a register does not mean I'm saying this guy is a negative one. The problem is with me that I have not been able to communicate well. And that's why this person is negative. Does not have required information. It's my failure on my part. So that's why I'm putting this person as register. So you may want to, at times, people may still end up taking register word as a negative word. So you may want to have a different word called needs more information. That way you can capture it there. Bottom line, it's nothing called fixed. You can always customize the way you want. We'll see a sample of all this as we move forward. Let's a quick one, how this is to be done. We'll see some sample of these elements there. So where do we get all this information from? You can look at this. You capture and record all that information. You're going to make a stakeholder register, what is stakeholder register? A document where you capture every important information about a stakeholder: name, designation, mobile number, email address. You capture whatever you want, but what is important to you? What kind of relationship this guy has with the project? What kind of expectation this person has from us, and what kind of expectation we have from this person? And how do you categorize this person? Is this person leading, neutral, kind of thing? Factor in OPA, because previous projects managers would have written it. And please keep this in mind. What you make today is not going to remain the same all the time. The one which is promoting you may become a neutral one. The one who is promoting you may become against you. And the one which is against may become your biggest supporter. So these relationships will change all throughout. So it's again an iterative process, because you will not say, I have documented, I have categorized somebody as neutral. This guy will always say neutral. So things will change. Things will change in this case. Mm. Templates for this documents. Okay. So give me one quick second here. All these documents templates will be shared by the project management office. I can see I think I have some. But these are not standard. Bottom line, they are not standard. I can share with you. Let me see if I have one here. Project management templates. If I have, I can share this file. This is some of the files. I'll share it with you all. So if it's but please this will give you an idea. But these are all some of the templates. But again, that's not standard because everyone customized. Every company will decide their own. So I'll share this file. I put that in the day 3. Download the Excel file. I'll put that template there. I hope that works. That should be fine with everyone. Okay, perfect. No hassles. Let's. But these are not standard. These never a standard. Not this. Nothing is standard because every company will customize because PMO decides the standard. So you can customize and improvise them as per your needs always. Now, all this information will be kind of captured by the various stakeholders. So you will be required to capture this information because based on your assessment of the stakeholder, you will prepare your stakeholder engagement plan. And how do you do that? By communication plan. So the stakeholder engagement plan, communication plan, they are all linked together. All in all, look at stakeholder register from previous OPA again. That will help. You get to know what kind of person this guy was. He was very he was the one who was troublemaker. Practically, you get to see that. But please keep this in mind, it's a public document. Never use any inappropriate language in there. Well, you can be clear. So who writes OPA? Well, you, the project manager. See, you're the project manager. You'll be writing your lessons learned document, and that will be submitted in the end. So OPA is like a documents, templates, trackers. That will be done by the project management office. But the lessons learned document. So OPA, we said there are 2 things. A, the lessons learned document, and B, the documents, templates, trackers, which are standard policies. So that will be governed by the project management office. But this will be written by, so historical project owners would have written their lessons learned document. That is the OPA we are referring to. Lessons learned. You can challenge, see, bottom line. Okay, well, we will be seeing that slide also. Maha, thank you for putting that message here. It is absolutely okay. So it's when you say challenged, no, that's already done. But what it says that these are ways for guidance. They are guidance. You may refer them because that will give you a quick, ready material to start with. So you'll not waste the time. And because somebody has done it successfully, it's worked for them. But it should not be taken blindly. You should always customize, and generally everyone will customize. But all in all, it should be a way of guidance, but it should not be taken as by a rule. So you should always pick the historical lessons learned document, imbibe the best practices from them, set the culture. But again, because you are the project manager and you know this challenge better than anyone else. So you have to customize and tweak it. But honestly, you have to take this as a guidance, not as a rule book. How to positively document a resisting. But you can always mention needs more information rather writing somebody as a resistor. Well, people may take it negative. But a lot of people may not be able to understand what you want to say there. So it's always good to be need more information, change the word, because it should not sound like a negative. That's it. Just change the word, and how do you engage with them is what you have to think about from communication plan perspective. We'll be seeing some of those things will come in ahead of us. But again, it's more about you just got to make sure that you don't write negative terms here. Let's see a sample. That's a sample. But is it the standard? No. Still nothing called standard. Why? It'll never be a standard because every company is different. Name of the stakeholder, title of the stakeholder, whether it's internal or external, role of the project, what is their role in that project, what probably I can say, what is their major requirements, what they expect from the project, and what is probably our expectation from them. So it's our expectation from them and what are their expectations from the project. And now look at this. Categorization, how we have categorized them, so the project manager would have gone and given this person as a type designation of champion. A champion is referring to a leading, basically who has authorized this project. Supporter, resistor, neutral, all that things can be. And we'll see this is all coming from the document called SEAM, Stakeholder Engagement Assessment Matrix. Will be doing that activity to understand how SEAM is done. And that's where we will be able to understand. So this document is getting created based on your SEAM, Stakeholder Engagement Assessment Matrix, the last column. So we'll see that how to do a SEAM with a quick example. We'll take an example to understand how do you make SEAM, because Stakeholder Engagement Assessment Matrix will help you to understand how will you communicate with your stakeholder. So that all these things are interlinked. So communication plan and the stakeholder will be automatically linked with each other. Now, all that different ways of classification we saw there, it is all going to talk about those methods, which 2D model, 3D model, different kind of options we have. Even the project manager comes 100%. Yes, Mr. Samad, absolutely. Project manager is a very key stakeholder. Absolutely. Everyone. We are definitely there. So whenever we will see something called power refers to the level of authority. Technically, we're talking about designation. What is your designation? Interest, basically, how interested am I about the outcome of the project? Well, my interest, what am I expecting? Well, basically, what's my interest in a project? If I'm going to get very benefit, I will be very, very interested in the success of the project. If I'm not too much getting benefit, I'm just been added as a stakeholder. I'm not too much interested. Whether your project succeeds or fails, it doesn't bother me. So I need to understand who has more stakes in my project, interest. And then influence is basically the involvement. Involvement in the project is when we talk about influence. Bottom line, I can be a passive stakeholder. Well, I can say, okay, I completely understand and I really like your idea. Let me know whenever you need me. I'll help you. That's one way of involvement. And second way of involvement is, okay, what's your plan for tomorrow? Let's go and meet this guy. Let's talk to these people. I am the one taking initiative. I am the one telling you, okay, let's go. So let's deal it together. So this guy is the one who's actively involved in the project. One says, okay, I'm with you. Another is actually with you to drive it. So I want to understand how much involved this person is actually involved in the project. One is like just saying active, passive. Everyone says, okay, I'm with you, but well, when you need them, they will not be available. So I need to know how involved is this person. And according to that, I can customize some bit of assessment can be done here. Let's see. Customize them, all of them. It always says tailor stakeholder assessments. Do as you feel like, because you're the boss. Let's see samples. Let's talk about this 2D model. That's a 2D model. Let's see, quick one. They have used a 2D model here using interest and power. So low interest, high interest, low power, high power. So if we have a construction project, let's talk about a construction project, which we just talked about, where the mother came into picture, where the neighbor came into picture. So the low interest and low power, that's labor. I don't care whose house is getting built. I don't care. Am I interested? No, not at all. Whose house? I don't care. I'm getting my daily wage. Power, don't have a decision-making authority. So such people who have low interest and low power, I must monitor them, what they're doing. Labor has to be monitored, because otherwise they will not do the job properly because they don't have interest in the project. Bottom line, I'll try to find a way not to do the job. Well, things can be there. So such people have to be monitored. That's my action plan to deal with them. People who have high interest but have no power and authority, this is what we call as neighbor. High interest, very much interested what's going on. Well, what kind of wooden flooring you're doing, what kind of modular kitchen you're doing and all that. We're very much interested, but they do not have a decision-making power and authority. But I sort of don't want negative stakeholders, so I'll keep them informed about whatever is going on. They don't have, but very much interested. I will keep them informed. There will be stakeholders who don't have too much of interest in your project, too much, but they have very high authority. That's mother. She was happy that I'm like the stakeholder has a house. The sponsor has a house. There's all his life he's been living into a rented apartment. Now he's sort of moving into his own house, the dream house. She was happy with that. So she doesn't have too much of fancy requirements. So not too fussy about it. But again, has high authority. She could not find the place for worship. And that was it. So high authority, but low interest, not too fussy. The ones which are high authority about the project and high interest in the project, this is sponsor. This is the wife. That's what we're dealing with. So work with them closely, communicate with them, involving them in decision-making. They are the people to be worked with. These are 4. So they can use a 2D model. Nobody is supposed to go and ask you to do that. But bottom line, see, this is how you work with 2D models. So you can customize your 2D models and kind of create such ways to, and it's who does it? You and your team will sit down and do that. Same thing, I can do it on 3D model. Again, you need some sort of software to do a 3D model for you. But you can use, and this name nomenclature, you can change it to something else. You can customize your own models like this. So, but all in all, we're taking two variables together. It is 2D model, three variables together is 3D model. That's it. It's just about having a stakeholder identified who has a less power, less interest, and less attitude. What kind of, so I will have that person labeled there. So for example, if I want to add, which will be less power? Technically, this point is less power, less interest. So if we talk about this section, this is the less one. So technically, less side, less interest. Okay, let's have to do a, that's why it's a headache to work on a, because 2D models are easy to understand. 3D models will be having, we'll have to create a transparent one, which we can look at and see which one is what. So this is the interest. This is power. And that's the vertical one is the attitude. Let's call this attitude. So we got like negative, positive, we got positive, negative, and this has got negative, positive. So let's say if we have to identify a stakeholder who has low interest, low power, and low interest is low power and low attitude. So interest is negative here. This is also interest negative. This is also power. This is where we'll plot it. This is where it's just tricky. Look at this. At this point, I'll have a stakeholder plotted who has low interest, low power, low attitude. This is the point where I'll be plotting it, because all points are negative here. So if I look at it cuboid here, this point, if we look at this point, it's going to be a negative for power. This, which is power, is this side, which is this side is negative also. This is negative. And for power interest, this side is negative, which is this is also negative. And for attitude, this is negative. So all three negatives are at here. So I'll write down a stakeholder name here. It's just a fancy representation, just a representation, no analysis here. Based on the analysis, you can put them into any structure. Bottom line, all you should know, there is a 2D model, there's a 3D model. All in all, you have three criteria used, 2D models, you use two criteria. That's it. Nothing else, nothing more on this one. Similarly, you have your direction of influence we just talked about already. Upward communication when you talk about senior management. Downward when you're technically talking about your team. Outward is with the client, external vendors, contractors, and sideways is with your peers. What kind of, I need to understand when I look at you, I'm trying to understand what kind of person you are. And accordingly, I will shape up my communication with you. Because if you are very deceptive, I will have to be very careful about how to deal with you. That's how direction of influence. This is a better model any given day to understand a stakeholder. And then you talk about the salience model. Honestly, I don't know who does this salience model to understand a stakeholder. But again, it's just to quickly have a look at it. Urgency means basically how pressing this guy is, because some people would unnecessarily create pressure. This is about pressure. Well, unnecessarily create pressure about something, getting something done. Legitimacy is more about the involvement. How much of involvement you're doing in the project. Well, actually, how much involved you are. Power is authority, designation. So if I look at here, if I look at urgency wise, there's overlap of this urgency is here. Legitimacy is here. That's the only overlap. But when I look at power authority, this guy has lots and lots and lots of power. A lot of overlap. A bigger role. So this guy has lots of authority. I want this guy, because he's got a lot of authority, I want this guy to increase his or her legitimacy, because there's less involvement of this person. I want this guy to be involved because I've got a lot of authority. I want to move this guy. So I will be planning my communication to make sure this guy is involved in decision making. So it's because this higher authority I can use for my advantage by involving this person in the project. So just a graphical representation. Please understand, this is not for analysis. You have already analyzed in your mind about this person. You're just trying to move this circle just for representation. These are graphical representation, but not analysis. And I guess that's all here. Again, quick one. If it's okay and clear, these four things we talked about. We had this 2D models, we had the 3D models. We talked about the direction of influence and the salience model, which is Venn diagram we talked about. And they're not a method for analysis. They are just representation. Graphically, you already decided about this guy and you're putting through a different image. Image representation, not analysis. So ways of representation, that's it. Graphical representation. Now, quickly, let's have a quick, and these are very, very simple ones. When talk about collecting information from various stakeholders, well, we can always go ahead and when do we collect requirements? Well, if you have stakeholders with you, interview with them to understand the requirement, project requirements. Well, requirement gatheration, like when you do collecting requirements, that's what you do here. So when you're collecting, when you're having a discussion with the stakeholders about project requirements, you always get to know your communication preferences, because if I know the stakeholder communication preferences, I will ensure when I'm planning a communication with this guy, I'll have to keep that in mind, because some people will want very detailed communication. Some will say, don't write this long essay. Give me bullet points. 1, 2, 3. What do you want? Don't write down a story. I don't have time to read the story. Well, some people will say, okay, I don't want this email thing. Okay, come to me and talk to me face to face. Or worst case scenario, pick up your phone, call me up. I don't want this indirect method. Some people say, no. I want everything on email. So I need to know what kind of communication preferences. So I will have to customize that. And this has to be done for all the stakeholders, wherever relevant stakeholders are required. Technically, you don't do it and ask a labor bottom line, but again, all the relevant stakeholders, you'll have to understand their customer requirements, because I have to engage with them in the stakeholders part of it. I said always you get a question to select the right option to deal with large groups. Always going to be questionnaire service. That's the first option and will always the most important, most critical, simple way to deal with large audiences to conduct a questionnaire or service with them. Right now, we're having a facilitated session. This session is actually we call as facilitated session. It could be done in a classroom, which we have a board, like we have a presentation board and like a projector involved, and you're doing a presentation in a class, like a boardroom meeting, or you're having this online sessions. That's also facilitation session. We can have large audiences there. Digital platform can be done, email campaigns can be done, which is like spamming emails, and technically that's what it is. Website can be used as a mode of communicating. You have put information on the website, people can look at it, and you can make group chats, which could be like huge, massive group chats. That's a way to communicate with large audience, or for that matter, bottom line, we should know what they are, bottom line. And the most correct answer for all this one will be a questionnaires and survey. That's all in all. Now, given that, what we need to keep in mind where the questions will be created is, that's what we're getting in. Okay. As I said, always, whenever you see this terminology, stakeholder engagement, we'll always see communication. Always, that's the only way to deal with it. So let's read it, and this will all clarify this. Stakeholder engagement plan identifies required management strategies, which is pretty much seen. Stakeholder engagement assessment matrix will be, so where you assess the stakeholder, like what kind of stakeholder is this person? Is this person neutral? Is this person resistor? Is this person promoter? I will understand what kind of person this is so that I can effectively engage stakeholders. That's what I need to prepare a SEAM. As per the stakeholder engagement plan, I'll have to prepare a SEAM, which will help me engage with the stakeholder. To engage the stakeholder, look at this team fulfills these strategies. Whatever your strategy prepared as per SEAM via communications described in the communication management plan. So you use a communication management plan as a tool to drive your planning done as per your assessment. You understood this guy is not aware. Let's go and give him more communication. This guy is like needs to be given more detailed, like one-on-one conversation that you would have assessed about this guy. Accordingly, you will do it. So they are all interlocked. These two will always be talked together. Always stakeholder management engagement plan with a communication management plan. General stuff, very, very general. Let's quickly read this out. Quick one. When you want to have a communication requirement collection done, it leads to, when you kind of have a good communication plan, requirement collected from them, it will lead to clear articulation of what the customer needs are there based on communication requirement. Like I need a face-to-face, probably a written communication. I will be able to understand them. And that will help you to understand but basically for what kind of communication they need me to communicate with them. Frequency, daily communication, weekly communication, monthly communication. Well, would there be any platform or technologies used? Well, because it's like if you give me an option to conduct a training on Zoom, or you tell me to conduct the training on Teams, I'll say never on Teams. Well, is there a problem? No, I do not somehow have comfortability here. Well, I've probably done hundreds trainings on Teams. I still don't like Teams. But again, people would have their preferences to understand their technological preferences, because if it's there will be some technology related stuff. And again, whenever you conduct these questionnaires and survey, the document will be able to, like, you'll be able to understand while you conduct the survey, you try to capture this information, what kind of communication they want to be done, like whether it's a weekly, frequency of communication, mode of communication, what level of communication. Well, pretty much this is how it's supposed to be. If I somehow I've never been able to, because I get scared, honestly. Somehow deep down my heart, I know whenever corporate trainings happen, all corporate trainings, if it's a virtual, they will do it on Teams. And that's where I have a problem. So I would prefer to do a corporate training why face to face. Again, most of the corporates prefer Teams, and I somehow don't like it. Somehow this is what people love so big, but somehow I've never been able. I would prefer WebEx, but rather than a team. Now this one, quick one. There's some list of items which we have, and there's nothing new. A very generic one. Please let me just read it out. But again, we all know it. Physical communication, face to face. You can talk to people. Video conferencing, which we are doing right now. Phone call, that's a way of communication. Website, social media, instant messaging, email, fax, body language, gestures, whiteboards. Again, there's nothing which is typical here, just general ways how you can communicate. All these are different ways. So nothing which is worth kind of memorizing. We all know all of it. So there is topic which is coming in, which is important, very important rather. So we'll be, I guess, checking this one. That's what I was waiting for. You always get a question on this one. Now, please keep this in mind, how to differentiate between these two communication, push communication and pull communication. First of all, we don't have these communications in Agile. Agile, we don't have a method of this push or pull, and while understand that in the model, rather talk about Agile and get over with the Agile part. Why? Because it's sitting together. We do have like Agile, whenever question says, and please, good to talk about this, because thanks, now we talk about it. Whenever it says, it will never, question will not say this question is about predictive, this question is about Agile. Never. Question could say large project. Large means predictive. When it says it's a small project, means Agile. When it says 500 people, 200 people, predictive. 10 people, 15 people, Agile. That's how it will be, always. Never will, question will never say it's a predictive. Large means predictive, small means Agile. Like 200 people, 300 people, 400 people, large people, small team sizes, that will be Agile. That's the way it will be. You have to interpret it's a predictive question or Agile question. It will never say it's a predictive or Agile. And that's why Agile doesn't need so many, because you handful of people sitting, say there's a table, there's a round table, you're all sitting here. Why would you want to have an indirect conversation? You're all sitting here, all technical people. So why would you need to have a stake like this planning here? It's not required. Why? Well, if you have a communication, like, do you think I'm going to be sending email to you? You send email to me. I'll say, well, you guys sitting together. We hate documentation. Honestly, we hate unnecessary paperwork, unnecessary documentation, indirect methods. Say, well, let's have a face-to-face conversation. Well, why have this indirect method? You're not sitting in another part of the world. You're sitting across the table. Why are you sending me an email? Let's have a conversation. So in case of Agile, it's a small team. We sit down and we collaborate. We prefer having a dialogue rather than an email. That's the word. It's not that we don't send an email, but it will always be my last choice. We prefer to have communication rather than documentation. That's the first way. If you read the Agile Practice Guide, that's it. It's always the core principle of Agile talks about we will prefer, like, it's not that we don't do document, but we'll prefer communication over documentation. Documentation is not what we prefer because it's indirect, it's cutting this, slowing down things. Well, why can't we have like human touch? That's so Agile, we don't need all this direct stuff. Like it's we're all sitting around the table, we can have a direct conversation. Quick one here, this is important to understand, differentiate between push and a pull. Now, let's understand what is the push communication. In a push, when I say I'm the one who's pushing the communication. So person who's doing the communication, person who's doing the communication is the one who's deciding everything. Well, he or she doesn't care whether the person needs this information or not, but I will be pushing this. You know what kind of information? This is FYI, for your information. Whether you need it or not, I don't care. I've done my job. I've sent it. So I open up an email, attach some document and send it to you. Whether you need that email or not, none of my business. I've done my job, what I wanted to. So I decide to send that email and I don't care about you. Simple as that. So I'm not expecting, when I do this, I'm not expecting response. Simple as that. Please keep this in mind. For your information, I'm not expecting, people can respond after looking at the email, but I'm not expecting. I had to give like email. So for example, and with all due respect, tomorrow, like not tomorrow, but yesterday, when I was not able to take the session because of the laptop issue, I did push communication. I informed you all that there is some problem with my laptop and we have to cancel this session. That was FYI. Some of us did respond to that, but bottom line, I wanted to communicate. That's where it's like FYI. Well, somebody makes a phone call. That's also because I am the one. I am deciding. I did not seek permission from you to make a phone call. I just picked up my phone and made a phone call. Whether you pick it up or not, but that's separate story. But did I make an action from my end? Yes. Did I seek a permission from you? No. Was I supposed to seek a permission from you? Practically not. I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to make a phone call because I want to speak to you. Sending in a message. Well, bottom line, I did it, what I want to do. So in case of push, the person is not expecting a response back. I'm just doing it because I want to do it. That's all. Pull, you have to think it a little differently, please. So pull concept is where a person who has done the push already, push has happened, but in case of pull, the person has to, there's a sender. So let's call this person sender. This person says, what is a push communication? There's put an information on notice board. That's a notice board. Its information is there. The person has gone and done this job of putting the information there. This guy has done push already. But now, what will be pull? If like I said, this is who's going to receiver has to walk from here, go in front of the notice board and see, okay, I read. Now I get to know information. So I have to pull this information. I have to extract this information. So receiver has to make an effort to pull that information. If I don't want to, I just leave it as it is. So I will decide here. Receiver decides I want to pull that information. Okay, there's a Google Drive where there is some material, like I have shared the material with you. That's when I did a push. I just placed it. Some of us have already downloaded information. Some have not. So you are the ones who have not practically as a receiver. So the ones who have downloaded as a receiver, you have decided to pull that information. So I placed there, and you go and download it from the Google Drive. You have decided as a receiver, I want this, so I pulled it. If you decide not to, well, it's still going to be there. So you have to make an effort to pull that information because probably you need that. The ones who have not, because of any XY reason, it's still there. You have not downloaded. Well, you've decided not to do it till now, and you might want to do it. So here, I am the one who is deciding I will extract this information also. Whenever you all that like post information on the notice board or reference document, you see anyone who's shared it there, but you don't get it unless you pull it. So you have to make an effort to get that information in case of pull. So you have to pull that information. And why would you pull it? When you need it. When you need it, you will pull it. If you don't, pretty much. So do you see whenever I talk about pull information, I expect people to receive and acknowledge. Technically, I would expect that. But again, it's still the receiver who will determine whether I can do it or not. But I am expecting a response back. In that case, yes. In case of pull, I'm expecting a response. I am expecting an acknowledgement. I would, but again, it's up to the receiver. So here, the only thing is you got to keep in mind who is deciding. The crux of, because you could be given scenarios, all you have to keep in mind is the bullet points is what you have to keep in mind. The one word meaning which can derive the answer. Who is controlling? Bottom line, that's what you got to keep in mind. Who is controlling? I will pick it up. If I don't, I'll just leave it there. I don't want it. After 7 days, I'll pick it up. My decision. I don't want to do it. Simple. So I'm not going to go and download it. Simple. Job done. I will decide when I will pick it up. Here, this guy says, well, I will do it when I want to. So I am initiating a communication because I feel like doing it. Pull receiver can decide when I want and I feel like it's the right time to pull, I will pull it up. Bottom line. So it's who decides will decide whether it's a push or pull. So for pull, you have to extract information. For push, you have to send information. Yeah, it is a problem. It will have. breakdown. See, bottom lines, because there's a lot of push and pull, there will be communication channel. And we'll be talking about that. Given the time, I don't think it's a right time to get into that push and pull communication calculation, some calculation, which we'll be talking about. Let's see. Is it clear push and pull for now? But that causes communication breakdown. That's why we'll have to look into that calculation also. Small calculation, but a very important one. Okay. So let's park it here. Because there is a very important because this topic will have questions. Definitely will have questions. So push pull, and after that, there like this nothing on this one. It's a very big generic one, but there will be something which we will be getting in this one. We will be calculating some data. There's a formula. We'll discuss how to decide the communication channels, count of communication channels. So we'll talk about this. So let's park it here. Let's continue from slide number 18 now. Yes, we did it till 17. We'll move in. We'll start from 18 onwards tomorrow. I hope it's okay with everyone, just because it doesn't make sense 2, 3, 4 classes, sessions, like slides here and there. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We'll be moving on to like now the project part of it, so it'll be easier for us to relate. And please allow me time till tomorrow. Thank God my laptop is back. I'm so happy, and I can't tell you how happy I am. So I will be able to work in the morning, and I'll be able to upload the updated one. Let me just review it and share it again in day 3. And I will also share the documents, the templates and all. Yeah, yes, Maha, please go ahead.
Sir, at the initial stage, like 2 days before, you said that you're sharing with us all the notes, and as of now, until you do not explain, and we are not supposed to go through it because it may create a confusion. So my question to you is now, can we go through all the questions and try to solve something like that?
So
or I'll
we had a communication. We had a communication gap now. Okay, so whatever I have shared there, let me just quickly go back. So I talking about the notes that I've shared, which is the Word file. Are we talking about, right?
No, sir. The Word file and this you always told to read it and what
Right.
we call. Yeah, this one you told. But in the drive, all the notes that you gave, the questionnaire part, that is the PIM books and all. What is that? PIM box?
Okay. These are the files we're talking about, the additional files we're talking about, or it's the study material. Let me just
Material, sir, material.
No, so I would not recommend doing that right now. Definitely yes, because you will see in the sequence of these are the study material. See,
correct.
First thing first, let me quickly clarify here. So I would definitely want you to focus on the slides only, and the slides which were shared as a part of first one. I close this. Well, the first one which was shared, which was as recorded version, the slides that I'm using here. That's
Yes,
the most important one because that's aligned to exam content outline. So we have some questions which are related to like the ones which are shared, the process group questions which were there. That I definitely want you to work on. Say this one. These are the ones which I definitely want you to look into it. Go through these recorded slides, which is what we're covering up now. So we completed lesson 1. So go through these slides because that's the only material which is aligned with exam content outline. And now we started working on lesson number 2. So this is what should be my primary material. That's one. Once we're done with it, pretty much I would definitely I'll be sharing this updated file, the Word file, to go through this one. And yes, if you got time and do work on these questions. So all the questions do get just solve all of these questions, all of the questions. And I have not shared the answer key. I have not shared the answer key purposefully because I want you to attempt all these questions yourself, all these questions. Once you're done with the question, when you complete a particular lesson, say lesson number 1 completed, now redo that question again because you would have done this before going through the topic, all these topics. But once you complete going forward, say, but now we have completed lesson number 1. Now you go back and redo this. So before we start now we will say we are starting lesson number 2. I would want you to complete lesson number 2 completely yourself before we complete lesson number 2. And once we complete lesson number 2, I want you to go back and check. Is there something you would like to change after completing the module? So I want you to do your pre-assessment, and then post-assessment yourself. And then and these questions are for PMI. So I didn't draft those ones and I will be sharing the answer key, but not right now. Let's go through all that material. So what ideally then the portion when you have gone through entire material, those are reference book. We're talking about all these materials you're looking at. Those are reference books. So I want you to definitely go and check those reference book. which when the time permits, given it's a weekday classes we're going through, so you will not have that kind of bandwidth to go. And if had it been a weekend sessions, I would have definitely asked you to kind of, because there's a gap in between. But now here it's because the time is less. I want you to just focus on the core elements. This is back-to-back days and we have classes here. So I want you to just focus on the classes we're having here, the slides, and the question bank that we have worked on. Just work on them. Once you the training gets over, I want you to kind of pick up these elements and then study all of these one by one.
Excellent.
And this one is the last one. Definitely the most important one is to solve this question, because trust, I would say like 50% of your content and then 50% of this is what is important, because it's not about how much you not know. It's about taking that stressful 4 hours, planning yourself and making sure they speed because a lot of people end up leaving questions, not able to complete questions. So I want you to just get practice enough of doing it and give yourself less time, right? You're going to do like 20 questions, give yourself 15 minutes. So practicing that pace and to be able to process at that pace is what is needed. So this is what, if you pick up Rita Mulkey and if you see, let's see the books here and what it has, it will go and describe some of the topics, just quickly, let us see. It will go and just read this. It will tell you how to prepare with this book, study this. All of it, it will first of all explain some elements about this book. And let's see, it will tell you how to study. It will give you how to study this book. So author explains that. And in the book, it will tell you how to pass this exam. It tells you 3 times you have to solve this book. Before that, you can't do it. You should not even do that. 3 times at least you have to study this book, solve the questions before you can say, okay, I'm ready. So this is all preface about telling you what to prepare. So do not skip anything. Everything is important. It will tell you how. So all these are question bank. This is a complete question bank. Look at this. Everything is a question bank. It gives you, but it explains those important topics, and then it'll start posting questions. It'll start posting questions for that. So how, if you just start with this, look at this. Now it will start section 2, and let's just look at this one. Reference material is going to go into all core elements, what you need to be prepared for, all the core elements, and then it will talk about wherever you need to kind of keep the context in mind with reference to examination. They will keep on taking you through those important sections. That is what is pretty much needed for you to just solve, as we just try to work on this element. I will, if it helps to you, I can see, I'm just trying to see if there are question bank, because they have moved, looks like they have moved questions towards the end. So let me just check this out, and we can discuss it tomorrow. Let me just go through those also, because I got this one pretty new just before your batch. So previous batches haven't got this version. They got older version. So let me just check this out, and tomorrow, allow me time till tomorrow, and I'll share all of it and I'll discuss. There's a lot of content you have to study, a lot.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
PMP will demand a lot of time, but again, be ready. It's worth it. Honestly, it's worth it. Let's connect tomorrow, and by then I would have been able to spend some more time with my. Yeah, you can. You can definitely purchase a hard copy of the book. It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. You can check for this one. All right, then. Thanks, everyone. And thank you. Let's connect tomorrow then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.